You are about to witness history in the making.
Hello and welcome to another Pop Culture Gamers. I'm your host Steve, and alongside me, my partner in crime, Haydn. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, okay. It seems like it's been forever between 3 and 4.
It has. We've had a difficult couple of weeks, haven't we, trying to synchronise our podcasting together.
It is, but I must admit, we did get the special out for The Good Place in between, didn't we? So.
We did, and we've had some good feedback from that. There's been one or two people who have said how much they've enjoyed it, so...
Yeah, jolly good. I was quickly then straight into some bit of intros then. It's funny because I had a week off 2 weeks ago, and stress-free, and now I'm back to work, and I've got the stress back on. Just doesn't... Two sides of the coin there, and it's, it's the weekend nearly over and back to work again, so...
Yeah,
not the best thing to be doing, but hey ho, it's how it is. So what's happened to me since we last spoke? So yeah, that's something I was to talk about. Have you had any phishing emails recently?
No. To be honest, though, I kind of skip through them so quickly that very often I wouldn't have even noticed. Well, consciously, do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know. Is this because I had just reactivated my Apple for my PC in here, but I've had a couple of emails from Apple asking me to log in to confirm who I am because there was a fraudulent bit of activity. So I went straight onto Twitter to their support page on that, and it's not true at all. I forwarded the screenshots of these emails, and they said no, definitely not from us. Thanks for doing that. Just so easy. I mean, how many people would actually click on that just to say?
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, and this is how they do it with their phishing, isn't it? But places like Apple and also Google, they will email you to say you've logged in on another device if this isn't correct.
That's
you need
true.
To panic, sort of thing.
And I think even Facebook does something similar, I think, as well, doesn't it? I might be wrong, but
yes, it does. Yeah,
but so it's a bit weird because this one from Apple said that I'd spent this money and it was in dollars, ready to come out of my account, but your account's locked, so can you reopen it? I'm thinking no. So I actually went back in and reset my password anyway, and then just spoke to Apple, so that was cool. Pretty straightforward. So the woes of outside my front door, we've had the gas people back. because
you've had gas, haven't you?
Yeah. Now, it's not from where you think it might be. This is outside on the main road. You could just smell it, and got the guys back out and they started digging the road up the other night. It's actually the same hole they dug the first time, so they obviously didn't get it right because in the cracks of the concrete on the tarmac was where he put his device and it was wailing like a screeching bird or something,
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. Other than that, I haven't done a lot, although my pursuit for Persona 5 is coming, or has come to an end, shall I say.
Yay.
Couple of movies this week, 3 movies. Martin Scorsese's Cape Fear, and a couple of Stallone movies, Rocky Balboa and Creed, which I actually watched for the first time, which I'm sure I'll mention those when we come to the debate side of things.
Yeah, Rocky Balboa's the one that he did where Rocky went back into the ring, wasn't it, after retirement?
It was for an exhibition match.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And we'd just like to say that Sylvester Stallone is alive and well. Did you hear about this, Haydn?
Oh, they were always saying that he's died, or that was one
there was some fake news, and I saw a tweet from Sylvester Stallone saying, "I'm alive and well." And at the time, I thought, "What's he on about?" And it went to about a day later. Someone said to me, "I thought, I can see what you're on about now." So I think the last time was Clint Eastwood. He'd popped his clogs, but he hadn't. So
I actually watched a Clint Eastwood movie this week.
Oh, did you?
I watched The Outlaw Josie Wales.
Oh, I've got that on my hard drive on my Skybox at the moment. I've got about 7 of his films sitting there now.
I don't even know why I watched it, to be quite honest, because Westerns are not my thing normally, but I just sat, I thought, I haven't seen this in years.
Yeah.
And I think it was, I couldn't be bothered to go upstairs and start, switching on the console and whatever and doing a bit of entertainment. So I sat and watched it and quite enjoyed it, actually. I quite surprised myself.
It's a good film because it's like, it's a revenge sort of film, isn't it, really? So
It is.
Yeah. Something else I watched over the last couple of weeks is a drama on ITV called Trauma. This starred John Sim and Adrian Lester. Obviously,
this is one where he's lost his child, isn't it, John Sim?
Yeah. Obviously, John Sim has done many things, including Life from Mars, and Adrian Lester, if you remember, he was in Hustle.
Yes, and of course, don't forget, John Sims was also the master before Missy.
Yes, he was. A good master, actually, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably it. I think we will mention the debate this week, which we've been itching to get to.
Absolutely.
It's funny. I've been thinking about this. That we'll need to do another one because I was thinking, what about Clint Eastwood and people like that? They've got they've got their own rights in this.
We've had people say, what about Jean-Claude Van Damme? So yeah, okay, we'll go through Jean-Claude Van Damme and all of that lot as well.
Yeah.
What, Chuck Norris, That's
for the cheesy American heroes, isn't it?
I have to admit, I love all of the Chuck Norris jokes that always go on.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So that's me this week. Bit of a short intro. What about yourself? Really quiet
week. I mentioned before about my car troubles on the last show. Well, they've been resolved finally.
Oh, good.
So car, touch wood, seems to be working. I have put in the notes, not much gaming, but I completed a game this week. I've actually completed 2 this week since the last show.
Indie games?
Yeah, indie games.
Yeah.
Indie games. Other than that, I've also, as you know, got my new dog. And he's growing at a rate of knots. I think he's about twice the size that he was when we picked him up. He says, and I know he's a small breed, but because he's a Sheltie. But the amount of personality that is packaged in this dog is quite unreal for such a small little animal. Because he's really quite a cheeky little dog as well, but so. Cute and adorable at the same time. And then also I finally got to the bottom of it. I had a problem, I mentioned a long time ago, I'd got one of these Ring doorbells, the ones that do the video, send a video to your smartphone or your tablet, etc. Well, I got one of those and I've had problem after problem with the connection for it because it works off Wi-Fi. I've actually got it hardwired in, but there is a battery in there if there is a breakdown anyway, in the electric supply.
Oh, okay.
So that just constantly keeps charged all the time until it kicks in. And every time I've gone onto it, it's saying poor connection. So I thought, well, dead easy to solve. I'll stick a booster on. So I put a booster on sort of like in between where my Wi-Fi router is and where that is, but more closer to that. Didn't make any difference to the connection. I was thinking, what? Should have had something better. And just coincidentally, I was just doing a bit of sorting out in the study where I've got the router. And I thought, actually, I'm sick of this sort of like sitting slightly in front of my screen because the router like only takes up a centimetre off the bottom right-hand corner of one of my monitors. But it was just getting to, I don't want it there because I can't see the clock. So I thought, what I'll do is I'll stick it behind the TV. So I lifted it up, put it behind the TV. And now I don't have any problem, got a good connection with my rig. And the reason being is because between my monitor and my TV, I had my Xbox standing vertically. And the Xbox must have been shielding so much of the signal for the Wi-Fi that it was preventing it getting across. So, and to be honest, it had never even occurred to me because, it was like kind of tucked around at the back of it all anyway. So I would have thought that the signal would have got through, but evidently it was enough to cause some sort of interference. But since I've moved that now, I'm getting a constant good signal, which is brilliant because it's just improved the device wholesale because it is quite it's a really good device because it'll monitor whoever comes in down your drive, any motion detection, it starts off, it'll notify you when you can sit and watch what's going on. And if you want to, if they ring the doorbell or if you just want to generally, you can press the telephone icon that's on your smartphone and speak to whoever is on your drive and say, yes, hello, what do you want? Get lost. We'll come in, whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah, or any profanity you'd like to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's lots of, kind of uses for it. And the other great thing as well is it stores it all in the cloud. So it's, not on the device, because it is, the idea behind it is a security thing. I mean, yeah, nowadays,
obviously, yeah.
I don't think that alarms are effective. I don't think that the police rush to them in the way that they used to years ago. And I think it's a better tactic to have security cameras around your house that's recording up to the cloud to get the images of what people do when they're in there and notify you that it's going on so that you can phone the police.
But to be honest, right, as you know, I'm in that business anyway, with CCTV and alarms and all sorts. If someone wants to break in, it won't matter. Honestly, at the end of the day, if they want something and they know something's there, they will go in there regardless of cameras and anything else. Because I've had call-outs where there's been a break-in, but you got cameras and you got the alarms, they got through, it all went off. They still went out and ripped the safe out of the wall.
Well, yeah, they will because of the delayed reaction time. And I presume that the CCTV systems are like passive monitoring. Presumably they won't be active, and I'm not expecting you to tell me the answer to that because we don't want to compromise the security or wherever it was. But irrespective, they'll probably have the in and out time before.
I mean, but when the alarms go off, that triggers a signal to a monitoring station that will then let the key holder know straight away.
You see, my mind is if they want to get in, they will, exactly the same as what you... I mean, I used to, be responsible for information security for one of my local police forces, as part of my job. So I'm quite familiar with security principles and whatever. And in my mind, I'd rather be capturing video that's stored remotely so that it's then collecting evidence and be notified that something's going on so I can phone the police and have an alarm going off that'll probably be a false alarm and I'll only find out when I get home. That's kind of just the way that I am. But there's, so many people around where we are have alarms that constantly go off that, aren't, that there's nothing happened. It's just literally, a false alarm. So, but anyway, I don't think whatever you do, there's never the perfect security system.
No. I mean, Fort Knox maybe. But then
I was going to say Goldfinger got in there.
I
think you're probably the safest that you're about to do. You could do at the moment is blast something and land it on Mars. So that's I finally managed to sort out that long-standing sort of problem. Been playing a few other games as well. I'm not going to talk anything about them tonight, but I have played Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus.
Okay. I've yet to dig that out yet. I've still got it sitting there on my box, but I haven't finished the one before it. I feel I should really do that first.
And I've also played Agents of Mayhem, which is from the same people who made Saints Row.
I can imagine, okay.
And so I'll say what I think about that next week, but it is currently on offer on Games with Gold, so worth a look. Anyway,
absolutely.
Anything
else?
That's me for this week, I think.
Okay. I was going to do some moaning about Sky, but I'm not going to do that now. Which is just to say that the prices have gone up. That's it. Enough said. Anyway,
no longer a dream, but a reality.
So, first piece of news we've got, on the 16th of March, we got Burnout Paradise, the remaster, coming out. £35, thereabouts, including all 6 pieces of DLC. Is that for you, Haydn? Because I definitely...
Yeah, I think it is going to be for me, because I've got Burnout Paradise, obviously, through... I already had it digitally anyway, but it's also on EA Access. But I do love the game. I mean, to me, that game was the thing that really started me off in online gaming. Because before that, I was never bothered about it. Played it a couple of times on a Dreamcast. That's how long ago But
yeah, but there's one omission to this though, isn't there? Apparently, there's no crash mode.
That's a strange choice, because that was great
Very
fun.
much
Was
so,
that?
because that was the best part of the game, to be honest.
But
Burnout Revenge and some of the other ones had the idea of that as well. But I know, say, Burnout Paradise is more of an open world.
It is
huge open world, and especially with the DLC. So you've got the other islands.
that
attaches to it as well.
Surf Island.
Yeah, and then you had the small and tiny cars,
The toy cars,
those
and you
kiddie,
also had the Jensen, which was the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
And did that play well up with that? Because that was great how that went when you would hit a button on the controller and the wheels would fold in. It would hover.
Played brilliantly. It was really, one of the best cars in the game, actually. Really good for doing stunts and whatever. And there was also the Knight Rider car. Yeah, there was, but it was like the second generation Knight Rider car. It wasn't the original Trans Am. But that came in the same pack as the Jensen did, because that was a paid for expansion, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I do own all the expansions on the 360 back compat, and I think that if I went back to my 360, Burnout Paradise was the largest file size I had on my Xbox at the time. Absolutely
I have to admit,
huge.
though, this is a bit of a left field sort of game, isn't it, really, in terms of this is an announcement of a remaster? Because while I think that this is a brilliant remaster to have, I'm a bit confused as to why they've gone to the Xbox Enhanced on Burnout Paradise on the back compat. It doesn't kind of make sense if you think about it. Why would you enhance the 360 game to remaster it for the X?
Well, unless it's a complete remaster with, to a certain degree, they've rebuilt the game.
Maybe so. Well, I've obviously have rebuilt the game quite a lot if they've taken out one of the modes.
Which is a shame, because I remember with my kids back in the day, because they were quite young then, how much we loved rolling those cars to keep it going as long as we could, getting all those points. I
mean, what I remember about Burnout Paradise is I had this game. It was one of the first 360 games that I had. And it was when, just after it was made redundant, actually. So I spent most of my unemployment time when I wasn't filling out applications for jobs playing Burnout Paradise.
God! And I remember obviously the track at the beginning of the game by Guns N' Roses. If I remember
Burnout
rightly.
Paradise.
Yeah, which I don't think it's called Burn. It's not actually called Burnout Paradise, but it's called Welcome to the Jungle or something. Well, if I remember rightly, I might be wrong.
Paradise City.
But is it called Paradise City? Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Sure, I'll have to have a look.
But have a look at it. So yeah, I don't fancy, as much as I did gain a few achievements on that game, I don't fancy finding all those signs again though.
They were quite easy to do, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a great game. I mean, it's like, we all get these remasters and we play them for a little while and we put them down and don't go back to them.
I don't know. I think I have gone back to Burnout Paradise. I do still load it up, to be honest, because I still enjoy the game. I think my main thing on this is because I think this was the first game I broke 1,000 achievement points for. But once I got to a point, I couldn't get any further in it. It was because everything was multiplayer. So, you couldn't, complete certain achievements unless you had, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, 7 or 8 people in your squad. And you all had to do, like 50 challenges or whatever it was. I can't remember exactly how many. But you had to do the same challenges with 3 people in. Then you had to redo it with 4 people in. And like that was how the achievement went. And it was those ones that were the ones that I never got. I got everything else. I got my Burnout Paradise license. And I remember that the worst part of that was the last race, because by God, you had to go fast. You really, really did have to go as fast as you possibly could on that one. And it was Paradise City, by the way, was a song.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and I do remember there was an achievement to go 88 miles an hour.
What's that?
Yeah, I'd stake my mortgage on it.
You rent.
Because at the time, I know, but I did have a mortgage, and yeah, I can remember that there was one for that, you know, and there was one area that I could do that very well. But it's I do you know, I might actually put it on tonight once we finish here. I might actually go and stick it on for a little bit and just have a look. I'll tell you what, playing it, I bet you'll
bring back some fond memories, because that was one of the best games on the 360, in my opinion. Yeah.
Do you think so? Yeah.
I was a big fan of that game, and I'm not normally a big fan of driving games.
Oh, of course, no,
but
at all. No.
That one was something about it that just got me playing it all the time.
Yeah. I would look for the achievements if we had time. I'm just curious, but I will look later for that. Some other news that came in, a bit of an odd one, but Donald Trump does like to pull a Trump card every now and then. And since we've had the latest incident in Florida, he's now saying that it's basically the violence is down to movies, games. Is his excuse? If I'm going to use it as an excuse without getting too deep on this, what he's been saying.
It really does, stagger disbelief. And I know that this is something that particularly American listeners will get very, very passionate about, because they don't want to lose their Second Amendment or whatever it is, or Article 2 rights about owning a gun. But if people don't own guns, generally speaking, people don't shoot each other.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, it's funny, you know, you can, the days, you know, I think, I can't remember, was it Commando? When he goes into that shop and there's all those guns in there, you know, it's like, it's an arsenal sitting in that shop. And, you know, I don't know, it's a difficult subject, but it's more down to, I think, other things than blaming someone watching a violent movie or playing Call of Duty.
No, I mean, I think it's a lot more to do with the fact that guns are more accessible. I mean, I was reading on someone I can't remember whether it was someone I know or one of our listeners. Actually, it was one of our listeners had a debate offline about this, and someone from America had come very heavily about, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever. And someone from Ireland turned around and said, well, actually, we used to get shootings in Ireland in schools, and then we outlawed guns, and there hasn't been any shootings since. I think that kind of maybe answers the question quite nicely, actually, and rounds it all off. That if you don't have access to guns, and it also said like, give the teachers guns. It's just, it doesn't make sense, to be honest. I mean, no. I know it's a big American culture thing, and, completely respect the fact that they want to protect the freedoms, but again, the legislation that was in place about owning guns relates all the way back to, hundreds of years, doesn't it? To where it was, people brought the, justice in their own hands a lot of the time. There was a lot of outlaws and whatever, and that's probably why the legislation was there.
Yeah, well, it annoys me that we know that the President of the United States has, like, he's got the power of God in his hands to a certain degree, what he can do. I know it has to go through an amendment with
but he could stop it straight away. But he won't.
Absolutely.
And I just think I think it's a shame. But it's one day somebody will wake up and say, actually, if we don't give people guns, it's got nothing to do with video games. I think, if anything, what it's got to do with is accessibility of guns and the accessibility of mental health care for people, and people becoming radicalized or something else. And I think that's the key. Yeah.
I think the social side of things with people that trigger whatever triggers it off to start something. We've had you could probably put it on one set of hands the amount of big incidences we've had. I know over the last 10, 20 years we've had quite a few bits and pieces that have happened, but not to the scale of what they've had. I mean, I think the only one that comes to mind for me is the Hungerford incident back in the 80s, where the guy was running around Hungerford shooting anyone he could see.
Yeah, I mean, there have been shootings of police officers and stuff like that as well, haven't they, over the years? But
yeah, but a lot of stuff we've had is like terrorism related, or with the IRA. If we can go back to the 80s again and 70s, with bombings, in Hyde Park and stuff like that. But yeah, no, those days you couldn't say it was a 8-bit pixel game that triggered them off, would you? So
no, I mean, but it's a debate that you're not going to actually get anywhere with that. And also the other thing as well, is probably won't have helped the situation, is that evidently the World Health Organization now recognises video game addiction as a mental illness.
So we're all poor
evidently,
fellows,
yes. So we've got some sort of video game addiction problem.
Yeah. If my missus ever tells me that, I will throw that back. See what she comes up with. I know what she'd say, but I'm not going to repeat it.
Yeah, I know. I think my wife would come up with something pretty similar as well, to be quite honest. I can imagine what it would be. But
yeah,
I just think that Donald Trump should just keep to his breaching of the Twitter terms and conditions by attempting to do warmongering with North Korea.
Well, I do like sort of God bless the Americans themselves, because they do like to give him stick. I must admit, you see all these little bits and pieces on Facebook.
I mean, I've got some American friends. The American people are fantastic, but what's happening at the moment, it's worrying for everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Should we move on, yeah? Okay, so while I just take a sip of this drink, would you like to do the new releases?
Not that many new releases at the moment, because it's not that time of the year at the moment, but we've got Moss Digital on PSVR. We've got Deblob and Deblob02 on PS4 and Xbox One. We've got Gravel on the PC, PS4 and Xbox One. Shiny on the PS4. Super Hot on PSVR, and Vegas Party on the Switch.
Not a lot out there, but it's Super Hot. Is that the same Super Hot that's going to be with the... That's interesting.
Well, that's a VR game, isn't it? Because it's on... obviously it's on PSVR. Duh. But, no, I mean, it's previously on PC, on VR. So, because I'm sure you can get it on Windows Mixed Reality. And I think on Oculus and that as well.
Yeah, not a lot. So there's not a lot coming out now at the moment. I can't think. We're going to have to wait until to end of March.
Well, that's where it's always the big flurry of people going, "Oh my God, we need to get some money in quickly before the end of the year, so we better release everything," and then worry about fixing it afterwards.
Okay, right. If we get on, then we'll do the charts next. So, in reverse order, we got Bayonetta. At 5-4, we've got Monster Hunter World. Which, have you been back to that?
No, I haven't, to be honest. I started playing it, and then just because I haven't had game time. I've had plenty of game time. It's just I've been playing different things.
And it's not the one you really want to switch on.
No, because at the moment, I mean, we were having this conversation, weren't we, with head chef Alan about he was showing his little green eye over the amount of achievements I've been scoring recently. Sorry, Alan. But you kept calling me a horse, so I'm going to get you back on this one. I was just saying that at the moment, because of having a new puppy and everything else, I can't sit down and concentrate on a really long, in-depth game, and I think that Monster Hunter World is one of those. I think that you need to work out what's really going on in the universe and whatever. At the moment, I just want to do shorter experience, shorter games, not experiences. I'm not doing VR.
Yeah.
I just want to do shorter games and have something and say I've done it, because I was looking through all of the games since the beginning of the year that I have actually completed, and it's quite a long list. To be quite honest with you, I think
that's why we were calling you a whore.
Yeah. But I think that there was somewhere in the region of, let's have a look. So this is either getting 1,000 gamer score or completing the campaign, when I'm saying this. So I have this year completed Asemblance, A Little Lake, Monochroma, Planet of the Eyes, Rememward, Decay the Mare, The Walking Dead: A New Frontier, Skylar and Pluck's Adventure on Clover Island, Inside, Paladin, Black the Fall, The Park, The Walking Dead: Michonne, Marvel's Galaxy, The Telltale series, and Star Wars Battlefront 2. That's since January. That's not bad going. That's not bad going.
And has he? I know we're so off the charts. We'll get back to it in a second. But where do you get the time? And I'm gonna. But you can come back on me when we get to Persona.
Yeah, Mr. 110 hours.
No, actually, I got it wrong.
120. That's even worse.
But we'll talk about that later. Anyway, if we better get back to this. So at 3 we got GTA 5. Yeah. I just think it sits there for fun. It's probably stuck. It's wedged in. Kingdom Come Deliverance is at 2. Don't know much about that at all. Nothing to do with the movie Deliverance.
It looks quite good from what I've seen of it. I think that I seem to remember that there's been some uproar about this as well. Some people have been getting very upset because there is no representation of black people or other ethnic groups in the game.
Okay.
But as I'm not so, I've just seen clips of it, but as I understand it, it's sort of like medieval England or somewhere in Europe where you wouldn't have had, because of the time frame, people of different minorities or ethnic groups, not minorities, there anyway. So I don't know what really to make of it. I've not seen enough of the game to really form an opinion one way or the other.
Yeah, okay. And last but not least, number one. There's only one game left. Actually, which game's missing? If I say FIFA 18's number one, what game would you think would be in that top 5 still? Yeah, and it's not. It's
pretty amazing. That's the first time I can ever remember COD not being in the top 5. At this time of year. I don't know why that is. That is.
I mean, I saw it in Sainsbury's. I went to Sainsbury's to pick up some prescriptions and bits and pieces today, and I saw it in there for
that's
about
worth it. It's a good game. It's actually at 8.
There you go then.
So, and Shadow of the Colossus was at 7.
Yeah, is that dropping down now? That's a remaster.
Well, everybody who wanted it would have bought it in the first week, and then after that, I think it'll just slip out with the charts. That tends to be the way with the remasters, a lot of them, isn't it?
Yeah, and then some of us like us that may want to pick it up, we'll get it a bit cheaper later on.
I think there's a big spike, and then it drops starts to drop down quite quickly. Then they'll do it at cheaper, it goes up again, and then it's down, and then it's sort of out. That seems to be the normal route of them. Having said that, though, Fallout 4 is still at 20,
Yeah, great game. See? Well worth its money. And don't come back with a reply on that one. Anyway, so it's that time of month again for Gold and PSN. Well, actually, PSN is a little bit later. So the first we got from the 1st to the 31st of March, we've got Trails of the Blood Dragon. I think I actually
do own it, and I've actually done a review of it on my YouTube channel. So if you want to see what it's like, head over to my YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see the review of it that I did, and I've put in different footage of different stages of the game, because this is another one I've actually completed this one, the story, because while it's Trials, it is a story as well, because it's Trials, and I've forgotten what the other game it is that's a mashup of Far Cry. The 80s Far Cry one that they did, the smaller, cheaper one, Blood Dragon. It's a mashup of Trials and that.
Oh, okay. Also, then from the 15th of March to the 15th of April, we've got Super Hot, which is on PSVR, funnily enough. The 360 titles, we've got Brave from the 1st to the 15th, and Quantum Conundrum from the 16th to the 31st.
I'd played Quantum Conundrum.
I think, is it worth just adding to the collection?
They're all worth just adding to the collection, because you never know, but it wasn't.
I don't think I'd go out of my way to play Brave, though, to be honest, but I mean, if you had some kids around, I suppose. I might play
Brave with my son.
Just to grab the achievements, go on.
I don't just play games for achievements.
No, I know you don't, but you think that might be.
I tell you what, a lot of them half of the time aren't. unless they're a cars game, they're pretty easy.
Yeah.
They're just long. What they tend to be is the achievements on those sort of games tend to be more, you have to play it for quite a while to get an achievement, so if you're going to play those sort of games, you'll end up playing 30 hours for the same amount of time when you could, get another game and do it in half the time.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, Quantum Conundrum, it's not too bad. It's not the best game in the world, but, when I played it years ago, and it's so long ago, I can't remember anything about it, but I remember it not completely sucking. Okay.
Cool. Brilliant. Okay, so we'll swiftly move on to this week's games. Okay, now mine is actually blank at the moment, but I can do this I'm going to be so unprofessional, but I'll do this from the head. Before I talk about Persona, I just want to mention Injustice 2, because I had a bit of bad luck. Well, it was just not luck, it was just what I wanted to do. The DLC, the third fighting pack, has just been released, which includes the Turtles. And I went to go and download it, but Xbox Live was suddenly a snail's pace. It just wouldn't. I couldn't actually get the download to start. How
do you feel about it being the Turtles?
That's fine, because there was, as well as the Turtles, there you had the character. Oh, I haven't actually written this down, but the other character from the Suicide Squad. The one they were fighting against, if you remember the film.
Oh, the witch.
The actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the other character. She's in it
Black
in the fighting pack as well.
I can't remember.
I think it began with A, but Evangelina or something like that, maybe. It might be wrong. But having the Turtles in it, I mean, I did get it down eventually. Great bit of fun. If you're a Turtle fan and you've got Injustice, I think you can buy them separate if you want to buy just their little pack. You can buy that for $7.99, but I have the Ultimate Edition, so it was all free for me.
She was the Enchantress.
Enchantress, there you go.
Although she didn't look that enchanting, to be honest, most of the film. I thought, no, you've been with mates.
Yeah, but she was in Valerian, remember? So, but yeah, no, good bit of DLC. It's a great game, well worth playing. Can't say much more than that, because I've said this to the hilt, and if you're a fighting game fan, jump in on it. If you're not, well, then it's not for you.
No, definitely not for me. But I have to admit, I've forgot another game that I've been playing recently as well, has been Dead or Alive 5.
Of course you have, yes.
Because there's a free version of that on Xbox.
Yep, there is. You are right, and I think I've actually downloaded.
Yeah, I had a quick half an hour on that, because I just thought, I'll have a go and see what it's like. I quite enjoyed it, to be quite honest, because I always used to prefer Dead or Alive as a fighting game to Mortal Kombat or Soul Calibur, but yeah. Anyway,
and also before I talk about Persona, I just want to remind myself that a friend of mine, one of the guys listens to the show, Outlaw 411, he's given me a couple of codes for some games. So what we'll do is we'll read out the Game Pass month code at the end of the show. But just to stress quickly that if you've either dipped in this at all, it won't work, so don't pick it up. Anyone that hasn't attached or tried to play any Game Pass or any freebies from that, you're welcome to pick it up. And whoever does, just let us know. It'd be nice to know. And he's also given me another code for an Xbox One game, which we'll set a question for maybe next week. So thanks to that. So yeah, I completed a game.
Yay!
It's the first one of the year. It took me 120 hours, and that was a long. But I have thoroughly enjoyed Persona 5. You will not believe. I know it's not your cup of tea, but at the point where I was going to talk about it 2 weeks ago, I had 2 palaces to go, or now I had 1 palace to go, which I'm probably going to I'm not going to spoil the story really, but I'll just say that the last palace was the casino, which is where you actually start the game. So that was, as I said before, you sort of get to think, how's this going to go forward? And there was a nice little twist in the story, which I didn't see coming. And by the time I completed it, I've restarted the game. I've started playing for a second time, and it's like a new game plus. So you carry over a lot of your bits and pieces from the first game, including your money. I've got 6 million yen sitting in my bank account now for the start of the game, which will come in handy because it will save me on a lot of things. I can concentrate on going through the different confidants in the game that I didn't get to full max like last time. I won't say what happens at the end of the game.
No, please don't. We don't want people complaining that you've done spoilers.
I know. No, but I will say is I got the good ending and the true ending at my playthrough. There is a bad ending which I've actually viewed on YouTube. So it's awesome. This game I can't praise it enough. That's how much I've loved it. Bless Nicky Wilson sent me a copy of the soundtrack, and I've been playing that in the car this week. It's just I can't really say too much. I mean, some people have played this for 4 hours and given up, and that's probably part of the tutorial, to be honest. But Japanese RPGs are a niche game, and they're not for everyone.
No, I mean, to be honest, it's one of those games of when I look at it, I think, I wish I could get into it, but I just know I wouldn't. So I just don't see the point in even starting it, because I know that I'm not going to enjoy it. After having experience of these sort of games before, I'm not just looking at it and deciding that I'm not going to like it and making it true. Yeah,
no, I mean, it's if it ever came out cheap on PlayStation, you might want to try it and pick it up. But no, it was well deserved for my Game of the Year for last year, and as we stand at the minute, it's still Game of the Year this year until the next games come in because, I really can't say much more than that. It's a thoroughly good game, great story, great soundtrack. You get to love the characters. There's very much. I enjoyed the fun of maxing out the confidants that you can max out, which you fall in love with. And if you fall in love with more than one, there will be consequences. That's all I'm gonna say. But really, that's my gaming really. But it's such a great game. I can't praise it enough. I would like to probably see about Persona 4. Have a look at that. I might see if that's worth picking up, or if not, I do fancy another Japanese RPG of some kind. Now, whether or not I actually go back and start again Final Fantasy 15.
Do you know, I have to admit, Final Fantasy 15 is one of those games I keep looking at and thinking I want to go back to it. But then I think I don't want to get involved in a heavy, long game. And then I turn away from it again, and it's annoying, because it's, if I knew I wasn't going to have to sink in 60 or 70 hours into it, I'd probably enjoy it a lot more. But it's just the thought of having to spend so many hours on a game like that. I mean, I remember, the one that introduced lightning. That'd be Final Fantasy 13. When that came out, you had to play that for 24 hours to get to a specific point to beat a boss that took 45 minutes to kill.
I know, and I was one of those that got involved in that, and
then it got good. But you had to play it for 24 hours to get there beforehand, and I went 3 times up against that boss, and each time I ended up getting to the point of being in that cycle of, my guy's just about to die, but so's he, but I need to heal him because if he dies, he's my healer. So I actually use a potion. Yeah, he used that round, and then the next round he'd just wipe you all out straight away. And it used to be, you do get those controller moments of throwing it against a brick wall. And after the third 45-minute go, I thought that's enough. I am done with Final Fantasy 13, and I'd been really enjoying it up until then, but that just finished me off because there was no need for that to be the way it was. It was pretty pathetic, to be quite honest, because it made the game not enjoyable. And I think that while I'm all for hard games, I'm all for hard games that are enjoyable, not hard games that you feel like the producer of the game is actually laughing at you and going, sucker, get past this. And that felt like one of those. So that's what stopped me from playing that game in the end.
Yeah, I'd like to, if it ever came out on back compare, I think I'd repurchase it.
I've still got the disc.
Yeah, I've got the hardback walkthrough of that game as well. And it's a gorgeous book.
I'll have to ask you to have a look at how you kill all of those heads. I might go back to it.
Yeah. But so I haven't. I mean, obviously, I've been playing Ghost Recon, but we haven't spoken yet, and you've purchased it, haven't you?
I have.
So maybe that, as I haven't got anything open world ended to play, I think that's my next one to crack.
Well, I think that we need to organise a proper gaming night where we sit down and we play multiplayer like we used to every night.
Yeah, we've been pretty poor, I think.
I would say we haven't had a good consistent gaming session the way that we used to for about 8 months
since Destiny.
It was before the end. Well, it was before the end of Destiny, because you got sucked back into Destiny, and I was just sort of like, I don't care anymore.
No, I mean, I have been. Don't get me wrong. I haven't played it this week because they do have the next factions are up at the moment. I mean, there is a lot of bits and pieces coming to Destiny 2. There's a new roadmap as well for that. So, but I just, with that, it's funny. I mean, I do feel sorry for the guys there, because when they're on Twitter saying about what they're going to try to do, well, they're trying to fix the game and make it more enjoyable for people and give them what they want. You just see a list of people all still moaning, I hate this game now. What's the point? You know, and I think, why, you know, knock them down, will you? You know?
There's no need for them to attack in that sort of way.
No, not at all. And I think, you know, I've come away from it that much, but yeah, I every now and then I'll dip back in. But I think Ghost Recon, just briefly, I've taken the first. Well, it's not the first, because the way this works is you've got the head of the whole gangs of the drug cartel, and then from that sprig out, you've got another tree and another tree, which are chipping away at the moment, which I've done with one area. But I've got a long way to go with that. Well,
I've only just restarted it. I've got past the first mission, you know, where you get the helicopter flight in the village, and that's about where I've got up to so far.
So really, where we're both sitting in a minute, while I'm not too far, we'll have to have a look, see how far in front I am, that we need to tag on together to complete it together. Maybe.
I'm so close to the beginning that if you wanted to restart it, it'd only take you about an hour to catch up to where I am. Because I literally have just loaded it, put it on, and then stopped it again.
Well, what we can do is I can tag onto your game, because I've killed in one main area of the map. I've done that first main boss for that area. So, and what's opened up now is the sprig from that map. But I can show you that, and we can have a look at it. So, do you want to carry on?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll carry on talking about Wildlands. I mean, obviously, I've had this on PS4 and Xbox One X, and it looks gorgeous on both systems, I've got to say. And there's very little difference in the gameplay. One thing that I did feel was that the vehicles were a bit more responsive on the Xbox version. Now, I don't know whether or not that's down to the controller, or whether or not they've actually tweaked something in terms of, you know, the settings for how vehicles drive, but the vehicles feel like they were going more where I wanted them to go. I am looking forward to us doing a bit of co-opting as well. And the other thing I do like about this, and this is the same with all Ubisoft games, to be honest, is I love the Ubisoft app that you get on Xbox as well, where you can go on and you can download free extras like, you know, different outfits or whatever, and you unlock certain ones as you go through, but you also unlock, as you get certain achievements, Ubisoft credits, which can then be used to buy other items in the store, or for that game, or for another game. So you can
absolutely.
get, I mean, I know you like soundtracks, you can buy the soundtracks for most of the games.
Yeah, you can. I've got a few. I've spent a little bit. I've taken all the freebies off of this game so far. So you got you got the different types of camo, stuff like that. I've got my XP, some extra XP boosters as well, which I've not used yet, and stuff like that. And yeah, the guns really work well with this game. And it's just it's tweaking the right gun for you at the time, because obviously when you're going around the map and you're picking up different gun parts when you open them up, they're obviously not all for the gun you're actually using at the time. So you might get a silencer for another. So you might want to, on the fly is swap to that gun for a different scenario. What you're doing. I mean, I know you've played the helicopter so far. Yeah, you ever go at that?
Yeah, the helicopters are. They don't drive like a car in the way that they do on GTA.
No, but I think they're well done. To be honest,
yeah, it took me a few goes before I started to appreciate them. Because when I first started playing it, I thought I hate the helicopters.
Yeah, and then when you get one with a gun turret at the front as well, it's really cool. So yeah, and I just started to use the boats to go around the river part as well now. So I'm not too far, and I've got 85 game score out of 1,500.
That's not too bad.
So I'm not too far into the game. I said I took a boss out, so I got the beat the boss achievement. That was 12 days ago. So I think we can tag on.
Yeah, I think it seems like it's one that we need to play two-player.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, it just in 4K. Wow.
It looks
amazing. It does. It is one of the most attractive games. It looks definitely better than Just Cause.
Oh God, yeah. Have you tried the parachute? Just saying that. Have you jumped out of a plane yet? Because I found the planes a little bit difficult, but no, jumping out of a plane with a parachute was brilliant.
I'll have to have a try of that. At the moment, I've only got 30 gamer score on this.
Okay.
So 2 achievements.
So yeah. Hopefully you can't hear Yoda. He's having a hissy fit at the moment.
He's obviously talking to the spirit of Anakin, isn't he?
Yeah, God, yeah. So anything else?
Well, obviously quite a lot of things because saying about last month I got over 16,000 gamer score. I haven't been trying this month, and I've got I'm 120 off 4,000. I don't know how I've managed to do that. So this week though, I've completed a couple of games. Asemblance. So this is a single-player, first-person psychological thriller. You wake to find yourself trapped inside an experimental machine, and a machine to simulate your memories, and you have no idea how you got there, and you have to escape. But what you've got to do is look into your past that you may not want to remember, and an AI voice guides you through what you have to do. But can you actually trust the AI voice is one of the questions. And are you sure that some of the memories are actually simulated or not? So it's obviously an indie game. I was really disappointed at how long this game took to complete, because it took 30 minutes.
Was it a $6.99 to $3.99?
Yeah, it was one that was only a couple of quid on the store. And that's where, I keep an eye out for these sort of things coming on, because I'll pick them up when they do, just to have an experiment, see what they're like. The game, actually, you complete it several times because there are different endings to the game, and some of which you can't get until you've completed the game in another way. So the replayability there is pretty much there, depending on how you play the game then, yeah? I wouldn't even say replayability, because you can load the last checkpoint in the game. So, and to be honest, once you get to a certain point, no, you don't, do you learn the last checkpoint? I can't remember, because I just completed it so fast. By the time I'd finished the last version of it. Matter of fact, the last version of it was actually really quite annoying, and I ended up thinking, I can't figure out what to do on it, and I ended up having a look to see, and it was a ridiculous one. You had to have absolute crackerjack timing, and you had to go into a room at a specific time when you've gone through this portal, and look at a hole in the wall at a specific time after you entered that room. And it was sort of like, no, this is a bit ridiculous. But it's not what you would never have completed the game without looking it up. And I don't normally like doing it, but I knew I had one achievement left, and I thought, do you know what? This has been so short, it's not even worth me trying to figure it out. I'll just look it up. Because I couldn't, I'd got to the point in it because it was so quick. I just thought, all I'm going to do is just ended up wandering around this particular area and I might not figure it out and I just might waste a load of time. So I just looked it up because I think it was getting late on the night and whatever and I just couldn't be bothered. But if it wasn't so short, it would have actually been quite good. But I would not recommend it, to be honest, unless you want to be able to complete a game very quickly. Second one is Monochroma. And Monochroma is a cinematic puzzle platformer that takes place in an industrial sort of setting. Mm-hmm. You play one of two brothers who witness something and then have to escape, solving different puzzles in order to be able to escape. The game tells you the story without any words at all. So there's no dialogue or whatever. Okay. And the whole game is mostly in black and white with the exception of red. So, you know, think about Schindler's List sort of thing.
Is it like I mean, inside, didn't that...
No, inside was coloured.
Remember rightly?
It's more like Limbo, but with red in it.
Yeah, that's what... Sorry, not inside Limbo, that's what I meant, yeah. I get you.
So it features quite realistic locations, to be quite honest, and puzzles have good physics to them as well. You know, things fall at the rate that you would expect and float and whatever. So in that respect, it's really quite good. This game, the history of this, by the way, is it was a crowdfunded game and the project was revealed on Kickstarter with a goal of raising $80,000. They exceeded that with $84,644. So it got the approval from Steam Greenlight in September 2013, and was released on May 2014. Basically, when it got released, it actually came up with a bit of criticism. And I think it's probably because the game borrows very heavily from Limbo. When you're looking at it, you know, other than the character designs and the layout, it looks very Limbo-ish, but it's more accessible than Limbo was, you know, I feel. And to be honest, I actually quite enjoyed this. This was a game I didn't have high expectations of. It had been one that I'd seen in the sale a few times, and I thought, I'm going to have a go. So, and then it sat on my hard drive for ages as well before I actually put it on. And it was all right. It wasn't, you know, like a half an hour job. It was a couple hours, 3 hours for a cheap indie game. Oh. You know, well, I mean, I think it was probably about as long as Limbo or thereabouts. Yeah, so I quite enjoyed that. The only thing that did pee me off a little bit is I didn't play this in one sitting, and I found all of the flowers that are the collectibles in the game, but the achievement's broken. So unless you find them all in one sitting, the achievement doesn't pop. Oh, it is, and that sort of thing always annoys me in a game because that's just pure programming. And to be honest, that's the most negative thing that I've got. I quite enjoyed it. I think it's not as good as Inside, but I preferred it to Limbo because there was quite a nice mechanic with this game where you had to carry your brother for a lot of the game because the story is that you're flying a kite with your brother and your brother falls and hurts himself and you have to carry him away, and you can only put him down in like pools of light. You can't put him down somewhere that's dark, and you've got to maneuver objects and move him and then do it again. And there's one particular bit where you're going on a conveyor belt and there's cogs that have got breakages in them, and you've got to time it so that he goes under these massive cogs where there's a break in the cog. So, you know, and that all takes a bit of working out, but it's really quite enjoyable. If you like sort of like platformy, limbo-y kind of games, I think you'll probably, it's worth a look, certainly. So yeah, that's my other game. I'll just briefly, I mentioned it before about Agents of Mayhem. I'm actually quite enjoying this. It is at the moment cheap on the store. I think it's £10 for the full version with all of the, you know, extra DLC bits and bobs. And I'm not really sure why this didn't get a lot of love, to be honest, in the same way as Saints Row did, because it plays quite well. It looks very nice. You can definitely tell it's by the same designers as Saints Row, because everything's purple and blue, like on Saints Row. But yeah, it's kind of like, it looks like Saints Row and Crackdown had a child.
I can't even imagine what that's going to be like.
That's kind of how I would describe it in terms of its looks, because it's got like cities like, you know, the futuristic version of, you know, on Saints Row and that sort of colouring. Sorry, the futuristic cities of Crackdown, but with the general look of Saints Row. And it plays similar to both of them as well. And you get different characters, and you can swap between the characters as well. So I'm quite enjoying it, to be honest, so far.
Yeah, cool.
And that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about gaming this week.
Okay, so that's the gaming section finished then for today. Let's go to the movies, TVs and streaming news.
In quest of a better life.
Okay, some sad news first of all. And actually, my daughter texted me yesterday to say that she didn't believe me. Emma Chambers died.
Yes, it's a big shock.
And if
shock, rather, not shock.
Yeah, because she's about my age, and when people sort of pop their clogs at your sort of age, you sort of think, you know, it's sort of, I think it gives you a bit of a knock, you know. If you don't know who she is, she played Alice Tinker in Vicar of Dibley, and what a great character she was. Dumb Blonde is actually exactly what sort of character she was in that, but it was great, and I always used to look forward to the end of the show when they would sit down there together with do you know what? I can't even think of her name. How bad is this? Dawn French, thank you. And they would have this. They would sort of have a joke. She would tell Alice a joke while they're sitting in the vestry in the church. And there's some class ones if you go and look them up on YouTube. Well, she did also the other thing she was in Notting Hill as well.
Yes, she was the wacky sister.
Yeah, but it's I think it was such a shock to see that news. Really was, but yeah, bless her. I'm just hearing now that since the news first broke, is that it's a suspected heart attack.
Such a shame.
It is.
Interestingly enough, is Carrie Fisher death was because of a heart attack, wasn't it? Caused by obstructive sleep apnea,
which is a very bizarre sort of thing to have.
I've got it,
really.
Yeah, I've got obstructive sleep apnea. I have to, when I go to sleep on a night, wear a mask, and it's got nothing to do with being a gimp, before anybody says anything. No, I have what's known as CPAP therapy, so it's continuous positive air pressure, and it means I get a tornado blown into my mouth of air constantly.
Does that mean you can't lay on your? Is that right? You can't lay on your back to sleep as well?
I do lay on my back. It's worse if I lay on my back. But basically what it is the muscles in your throat relax too much and they close up completely. And then it's known as, you know, like the silent death, because you can get a heart attack or a stroke as a result of it.
Yeah.
But basically when you start breathing shallow, when you're in REM sleep or, you know, approaching that level of sleep, the movement of your chest to breathe isn't enough for you to open up your passageways. And of course, you will suddenly, you know, people who've got sleep apnea will be snorers normally, and there'll normally be a long pause, and then suddenly they'll, you know, be like, sort of thing. You know, do you know what I mean? Where they've tried to, yeah?
I got a bunch of, did your missus sit there with a baseball bat beside her?
To be quite honest, a nuclear bomb could go off next to my missus. She wouldn't even notice it when she's asleep. But, yeah, so that's it. So that the continuous air pressure keeps blowing air through your face, and because it's attached to this device, and it starts pumping air in shock waves after a few seconds if it detects that you're not breathing. But the problem with it is is you don't know that you're suffering from it. It's only your partner who will know. But you will feel increasingly tired because it actually prevents you getting REM sleep. Because when you start to drift off too low, your breathing becomes shallower, and then you start getting all this distress, and your brain doesn't go into REM sleep, so you don't feel as refreshed. And it transpired with me because I was falling asleep at work.
But that's not narcolepsy, though, is it?
No, that's a different thing entirely. No, it was actually extreme sleep deprivation, even though I'd been to sleep because I wasn't getting quality sleep. So there you go. There's something you didn't know about me.
No, I didn't. Yeah. Anyway, so last weekend we had the BAFTAs, which is obviously the one pre-award show to the Oscars. As you filled this out, would you like to read as well? Okay, well, 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri won 5 awards, including Best Picture, Best Actress for Frances McDormand, Best Supporting Actor for Sam Rockwell. I do like Sam Rockwell. He's great in Moon. Best Original Screenplay, Martin McDonagh, and Best British Film. So that was really good. So is this what we're going to see as probably the way the Oscars are going to go?
Quite probably, but isn't it? I wonder how it gets Best British Film when it's 3 billboards outside, Ebbing, Missouri.
Well, maybe it should be outside outside Essex.
Tesco in Catterick.
Yeah. But my favourite film, actually, that I'm looking forward to seeing, won 3. If you want to explain what that film?
Yes, The Shape of Water. So it got Best Director, Guillermo del Toro, Best Production Design, and Best Score.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really fancy the look of this film as well, to be quite honest.
It's a love story, so maybe it's one to take with the missus.
No, I wouldn't take my missus to see this.
No,
really, she has she has no patience for anything to do with sci-fi.
Well, it's I suppose it's sort of a creature feature. I think maybe the best way of putting it. Maybe so.
No, the only creatures my wife likes watching is the monsters who are on Emmerdale and Coronation Street. No, it wouldn't be her sort of thing at all. But
and obviously. If you want to talk about
Gary Oldman, Best Actor for The Darkest Hour, which we think we all knew. But also The Darkest Hour won the Best Makeup and Hair. Now this is what gets me, is Gary Oldman doesn't have any hair in it. So why did it win Best Hair?
Did you see the way they showed a bit of the makeup?
Oh, the makeup's fantastic. Can't knock it for that.
I don't think we haven't seen anything like this, I think, really, since since American Werewolf in London, to be honest, for what the makeup.
Well,
is.
I don't know the best hair. He should have got that for Dracula.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, but and the best award was last, which was the Fellowship Award.
Yes, indeed. Do you want to say that one?
So James Cameron got the Fellowship Award this year, and I think he was close to tears when I was so pleased to get that. I mean, his films he's dealt with over the years is just outstanding, and obviously Blade Runner, one of the ones that comes high up in my list. We're on the back of that. Blade Runner 2049, didn't it? Won Best Cinematography and Best Visual Effects, which is rightly so for that movie. But James Cameron, I mean, it's great to see him get that award. I think he was. I think they do know they're preempted about that.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there while they're showing all the clips of the different movies that he's done over the time. But really pleased to see him get that. Yeah,
it is good for him because after all of the films that he's done, I mean, Terminator, Rambo: First Blood Part 2. Didn't know he did that one.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the James Cameron Wikipedia page.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator 2, True Lies, Strange Days, Titanic, Spider-Man and the Dark Angel.
It's funny actually. You just mentioned Titanic. That there's if you went to the top 10 list of movies all time grossing movies, Avatar is still number 1 and Titanic is still number 2.
Is it? I thought that Star Wars had overtaken it.
No. I looked this up the other day, actually, and because I thought if I'd have gone back a few years, you'd have seen, like, if I'd have gone back 10, 15 years, you'd have seen Spielberg movies all in there.
Yeah.
But no, Avatar is still the #1 grossing movie of all time, with Titanic second.
Oh, well.
So it's amazing to see these older movies still sitting there.
Despite everything. You know, well, I suppose nowadays, though, the accessibility to some of these films through the internet, you know, the ones from your Uncle Torrent, is probably...
We don't like to use that word because we never use it, do we? We don't do that.
No, it's all the Quentin Tarantino movies. That was bad. Yeah, but I suppose that's probably what stops a lot of people going to the cinema as much. You know, some people will be downloading them more illicitly because there's more accessibility to it.
Yeah.
Just a theory, but I don't know.
I know. It's, I mean, it's amazing what we could, because I'm just having a look at it now. Yeah, Star Wars The Force Awakens. I know we're going off topic here, but yeah, Star Wars The Force Awakens was number 3 and Jurassic World's number 4. So, but if you look at the list of where they've bounced around so much, and some of those films you loved are not there now. I mean, you know, in the top 10, you've got Beauty and the Beast, you've got Harry Potter, The Last Jedi, Frozen. You know,
yeah,
you can believe that these have made so much money.
Well, I have to admit, I'm surprised that The Force Awakens is so high up, to be honest.
Well, I'm surprised The Last Jedi's even in there. I mean, all right, yeah, I mock that movie a little bit.
Have you actually watched it yet?
No, I haven't actually pulled myself to look at it yet. I should do at some point. But yeah, no, that's yes. So James Cameron's got the 2 highest grossing movies of all time. How ironic is that? Because he also did Avatar.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, crazy. New releases then.
New releases. Shall I read these ones out?
Yeah,
all right,
you go ahead.
So cinema-wise, 1st of March we've got Red Sparrow. 2nd of March we've got Samson. Game Night. I actually quite like the look of this. This is Jason Bateman, isn't it? So, and is it Jennifer Aniston as well in this? I seem to think.
Yeah, might be right.
But quite fancy the look of that. The Meg, Monster Family, and A Fantastic Woman. So those are the cinema releases for the next week. Blu-ray, there is a cast of thousands, so I will just go through a couple of the ones that I think are...
I tell you what, you reel off some that you like, and I'll have a little scroll down and mention a couple myself. I can see any there that I like.
All right. On DVD, there is Amityville Horror Movie Collection. There is Red Dwarf, Series 1 to 5. There is Saw the Definitive Collection. There is the Thor 3 Movie Collection, and there is also coming out Thor Ragnarok.
Which I actually wouldn't mind, still want to see, actually. I do want to see it.
It's the best Marvel movie.
So far.
In my opinion, yes, and I have seen Black Panther, which I'll talk about shortly.
Yeah. Actually, looking through that list, I mean, you've mentioned Saw. Jigsaw wasn't the best movie in the world, apparently, so I'm led to believe, as much as I will still want to see it, because I do love that franchise. And actually, Amityville Horror Movie Collection, it's interesting to see which ones are in that, because I think the original 2 are one of my 2 of my favourites. I didn't mind the remake of Amityville, the first film, because remember that's actually based on a true crime. Yeah,
I have to admit one thing about the Amityville films.
Oh, actually, sorry. I'll re-say that. The second film, the Amityville 2 movie, which I think was sort of mid-80s, if I remember rightly, that was based on the story of what actually happened in Amityville. I mean, Amityville Horror wasn't actually what was going on with actually what happened originally, because it was sort of spooky, but the second film was more based on the incident which happened to how the family all died in there.
I mean, I have to admit, looking at those sort of horror films, walking into a house and the house turns around to you and goes, "Get out!" You don't stay.
Well, if I started seeing blood dripping from a tap...
Exactly. It kind of like, and I think Eddie Murphy said it best on Delirious, when your kid gets sucked into the TV, you try changing the channels and then you just leave.
Yeah, you get the flick out.
Yeah,
of there,
exactly. Well, still, I suppose we wouldn't have had the films in that case. It's just like if the iceberg hadn't hit the Titanic, it'd have been Titanic: The Uneventful Voyage.
Yeah. But I didn't mind the remake, but I think I did like the second movie, which is more the family move in, and the eldest son gets possessed by hearing these voices through a cassette recorder.
Yeah.
And starts to turn.
He was a really pervy kid as well, wasn't he?
Well, he was in the film because he was having relations with his sister,
yeah.
Wasn't he? If I remember rightly. And then we had the good old priest in it who was trying to do this sort of like an exorcism in the house. But yeah, that was a good film. I really enjoyed that. If we move on then.
So cinema charts.
As you've seen the number one movie at the moment.
Well, there's giving it away, isn't it?
I think it's a bit obvious. So, but I want to say something about 50 Shades in a minute.
Okay. Well,
so,
there is at number 5 we've got Coco 3D Walt Disney. So evidently, weekend total's got 1.4 million and total box office 15 million so far. The Greatest Showman, that's a Hugh Jackman one, that got 1.9 million in on the weekend. The Shape of Water got 2.4 million, or 2.5. 50 Shades Freed is number 2 at 2.7 million. So what was it you were going to say about that one?
Well, there was a little cinema in the States, and what it was is they'd all gone in there to see the new movie Black Panther, and 50 Shades Freed starts playing by mistake. Unreal, absolutely unreal. Can't believe that. And on Twitter, someone actually videoed a bit of the footage. Which you shouldn't have done that, really, because I suppose that's against the
law,
the code of conduct these days. But yeah, they were looking forward to a night with Black Panther. Ended up with 50 Shades Freed. Classic, absolutely classic. Love it.
That's quite bad, really, because there could have been kids in there as well.
Well, it could have been Coco and waiting for that, and that would have come up,
That's true. Anyway, as Steve had alluded to earlier on, the number 1 grossing film the last weekend was a Black Panther and got 17.7 million in at the box office.
It's not bad going, is it?
No, not for the opening week. So, yeah, that's the charts for this last week.
Do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, can do. So, obviously, there's been a lot of hype going on about Black Panther, being the latest Marvel movie. For me, this is the least Marvel movie while still keeping all of the references to any of the other movies. It doesn't feel like a Marvel movie in the same way. So obviously Black Panther is the king of Wakanda, and while the world thinks that the country is a third world, country in great need, it's actually a super high tech place that has electro train rails and all of this, that and the other. Captain America's shield, made out of vibranium, is supposedly the most rarest material in the world, and all of the vibranium that was in existence was supposed to have been used to create a shield, apart from the fact that Wakanda is sat on top of a mountain of it all. And that's what powers all of their super duper technology. It takes off straight after the events of Civil War, or not far after, where obviously the previous king got killed, and it follows the new Black Panther's ascension to be king. There is like a trial by combat sort of thing that he has to go through, which is fighting representatives from the various tribes, and one of them does put up a struggle, and he defeats him. I'm not doing a spoiler there because it's only a minor point, but then what happens is Killmonger comes along, and he's actually has a right to the throne of Wakanda exactly the same as the Black Panther does, because he's actually his cousin, and evidently their country had been sending out people all over the world to act as spies on the rest of the world, and the king found out that his brother was going rogue, and went to get him back. This is like in the 80s, went to get him back from wherever he was in America to, answer for his crime sort of thing, and ended up killing him. And Killmonger was Black Panther's cousin, who was left in America to grow up, and, he found a way to get back by killing Andy Serkis's character. So,
yeah, it's an odd character to. I suppose they bring in as many characters as they want to with Marvel, even say with DC. But as much as we had a glimpse of him in the last movie, I didn't think this would carry. I mean, I obviously haven't seen it yet. But did it hold your interest with the film?
I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed the film, but it felt different to a lot of the Marvel ones, while still having the same.
Do you think you could skip?
Reference.
Do you think you could skip it? So when the next one comes out, which is summer, I think, isn't
it? It is.
Would you need to see Black Panther beforehand or not?
Well, given the fact I think Black Panther is in Infinity War, there will be things that will happen in the world that might not make sense entirely unless you've seen Black Panther.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they're going to be big. It's basically what it's going to be is you'll notice that the world suddenly has a lot better technology. More like what Tony Stark produces, because Black Panther's country is a technological marvel. They actually have a hologram over the city so that it just looks like a mountain and it hides the city.
Yeah. Okay.
So, so it's like much more spacey sort of environment than any other city on the Earth in that Marvel universe. But it's worth a watch. There's lots that happens. There's, the head-to-head with Marvel and with Black Panther and Killmonger. All of the story about all of the journeys of all of the characters. And also, there's only one white person in there, and that's Martin Freeman.
Yeah, yeah.
So he reprises his character, and not quite as much of an idiot later on in the film as in the previously. Yeah. That
figure you gave us, 17 million. That was UK, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you like to have a stab at the all-time opening weekend for that film?
Probably about a billion.
202 million.
That was only 50k off, or 50 million off.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was 200. Yeah, it was just round it off. It was just over. So 202 for its weekend.
Yeah.
And that's in 4,000. That collaborates for 4,020 theatres.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cinemas.
It certainly is.
I
mean, in terms of this, it has a stylized black culture right throughout the film. For the country that they're in. I mean, obviously, it's a made-up scenario, so it's not a real culture. But there's been a lot of celebrating about the fact of what Black Panther has meant to black people in terms of a character.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's been in all of the news about, how marvellous it is that it's a Marvel film that is basically only populated by black actors.
Yeah, yeah.
And, really good from that kind of perspective. But it was really enjoyable. All of the characters were interesting, in various different ways. It loses its track a little bit in the middle, I would say, as a movie. But generally speaking, if you want to watch a Marvel film that doesn't quite feel like it's a Marvel film, but have an enjoyable experience using all of the same normal frames of references, it's quite a good movie. If you don't like Marvel movies, though, it's not that much of a divergence from the other ones that you're suddenly going to enjoy this.
Yeah.
So that I would say that would be my caveat of you'll probably like it in certain circumstances, but it's not going to be a movie for everyone.
No.
And I know that we mentioned before, our friend Alan, he really didn't like it.
No, he didn't, did he? No, I saw that.
Yeah, so I think it is, because it is a departure, it's one of those ones that's going to separate fans a little bit. A bit like The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I suppose what this does is gets the film out there with people talking about it, I think, in one way, and gets more other people that might not go and see it just due to what's being said, I think, and about,
Yeah, and excuse me. One of the things that I find really quite disturbing about this is, have you seen about some of the problems that have been caused by this film?
Don't think so.
I was reading online, and I don't know, it was one of those things that came up on Flipboard, and I just quickly skimmed through the story. Evidently, in one country, I think it was America, but I'm not 100%. There's been, although there was a Twitter flurry of people complaining about that some white people went to a cinema and a whole load of black people beat them up.
Excuse me.
And it showed you like a photograph of somebody being beat, the results of them being beaten up and being at hospital.
Yeah.
With a thing of inciting racial hatred.
Really?
And
God.
evidently it's a fake news story. So I just think it's really sad that we live in a day and age where people have done something like that, because it just takes it away from the movie, and there's no reason to take it away from the movie. It's a fine movie. It's, it's not the best movie in the world, but it's enjoyable. Why not? Why do people carry on like this? It's beyond me. But anyway, that's a bit by the by. So I enjoyed it. If you like the same, if you've heard me talk before and you like the same sort of movies as me, you'll probably enjoy it as well.
Yeah, I think I will. Hopefully, I would like to see it before. Saying that, it depends how I get to see the other one as well. If I still see this beforehand, but just sort of late to the party, whether or not I got the time to actually go out to the cinema.
I don't think you're going to be missing anything. It's a standalone story, but obviously has some ramifications for the rest of the world, but it's only minor.
Yeah, I mean, it might be able to work out anyway, to be honest.
Well, normally Marvel do a good job of, explaining some of these things over.
No, they do, yeah. Yeah, pretty cool, yeah. Okay, swiftly moving on then. Well, if we go to our movies and TV, not a lot of TV at the moment. I think just briefly mention Trauma that I saw on ITV. As we said earlier, this is basically about two characters. One guy had lost his son.
Yeah.
And the other guy who gets involved is the doctor that's trying to save his life. It was a three-parter, and to be honest, it was okay, but I thought it was going to get better. The way it ended, I think actually there's quite a few people on Twitter and social media saying that it was a bit poor. But having two great TV actors like that in a show, I thought it could have been better. But, I mean, anything that John Sim does, I always want to get to watch anyway, because he's such a great actor. And the same with Adrian Lester as well. They both are very strong on their own rights. So I thought this was going to be more than what it was, but unfortunately it wasn't, But they did a good job. But it's just, I think what let them down was the story, to be honest.
Yeah. I
thought this was going to be more of a psychological thriller to a certain degree. But it was okay, nothing special. I'm sure if you want to check it out, it's there on ITV's version of replayability on their own website. You can go and watch that there if you want to see it. Other than that, just looking up briefly earlier, we got some some old shows coming back this week.
Yay! About time as well. It seems to be forever for these.
I know, and I don't know what it is. We seem to be. It's been a couple of weeks, I think, in the States that they've been on. I might be wrong. So we got The Flash, DC Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow all coming back this week on Sky.
About time.
Yeah, because we haven't got anything else to watch at the minute.
But strangely, Supergirl's not back for weeks.
Yeah, and I know there's going to be another crossover at some point. So it'd be interesting to how that works, whether Supergirl's in the crossover or not. Because as I say, I like to watch these now as they're sort of aired.
Yeah.
So when it kicks in with one where they're all in it together and that you get it and understand it, other than trying to watch one show and missing out with the link between the other two as well. And just quickly and briefly, I'm looking forward to DC Legends because we've got the Constantine character, which was a great show that sadly got cancelled some time ago. But the guy who played that is reprising his role for this, so I should look forward to that.
Yeah.
Anything on that yourself? You want to say anything more on that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So this week's films for me, Two of them will probably get mentioned. I will leave those for when we get to the debate because they're both Sylvester Stallone movies. And they were Rocky Balboa, which I went back to watch again, and Creed, which was a first-time view. But I can talk about those briefly when we get to the debate. I think that will just go in nicely with it anyway.
Yeah.
But the other film I watched was all the way back in 1991, and Martin Scorsese remade Cape Fear. I can't praise this film enough. It's such a good psychological thriller. I'd say this is, a lot of people won't know that this was a remake from the 1962 version with the same name. That starred Robert Mitchum and Gregory Peck, two actors of their time in the 60s, which they had brief parts in this version of it as well, which was quite good. And I don't want to say too much. I won't say too much about the movie. I know it's an old movie, but if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. You've got Robert De Niro playing the psychological nut that Nick Nolte is the guy that was trying to defend him in court, but he went to jail. So he takes it out on him and his family with he's got Jessica Lange, that is his wife, the actress, and Juliette Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of her first roles before she went on to do some other stuff, a bit later on, because she's quite young in this. And it's got a great story. The soundtrack in this film reminds me of a similar one to the movie Psycho, which was the Hitchcock movie.
Oh yeah.
It's got that sort of atmosphere. And on a funnier note, Simpsons actually took the mick out of this movie. And if you remember the sidekick character to Krusty
Sideshow Bob.
Yep. When he gets out of jail, do you remember that episode?
Yes.
That is Cape Fear. Even the music as well. So go check that out. That's quite amusing. Even to the last few scenes on a boat in I can't think where it was now, but in the bayou, shall I say? Really good film. Again, Robert De Niro is classic in his acting. He really does well. With the other guys all tagging in tow, all giving first-class performances.
Yeah, De Niro is a good actor.
Yeah, have you seen this film?
A long time ago. Can't remember much of it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's funny because when I browse Sky these days, there's so many movies on there. Oh, I haven't watched that one for a while. I'll go and stick that one on. I did, as I said to you earlier before we went on air, that I did watch The Mummy, Tom Cruise, but that's enough said on that one, I'm afraid.
It's a very much a Tom Cruise movie. It's a brain out, put in a jar, and then just go along for the ride and don't think about it too much.
It was, and it was nice to see. I forgot who the girl that played the mummy was in Kingsman, remember, of course?
Yeah.
In Star Trek. So, yeah. But, yeah, it was nice to see it in ultra high definition on Sky, but that is probably as best as it went. And just a brief note, I don't know if you mentioned it when you talked about it, but I loved the little nod to the Brendan Fraser movie.
Yes.
When the actress took this book and hit him in this library.
Yeah.
And it was the Book of the Dead.
Yeah.
From that movie, which was a nice little nod, I thought.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't mind it as a film. I liked the way that they took a lot of different genres, or not genres, but monsters from those sorts of movies. And played on it. I mean, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, for example. The bit of that I mean.
Yeah, no, exactly. And because it was great to be set in the UK, wasn't it?
Yeah, because most of the time these things aren't. And, well, Tom Cruise seems to have a bit of a love affair with this country, doesn't he?
Yeah, because they've just finished post-production, haven't they, on his latest Mission Impossible movie?
Yes, and that's in this country as well, isn't it? A part of it.
Yeah, called Fallout, not the game. But yeah, no. So that
and it's not the fourth movie either, is it?
God, no. But I just no. I don't knock Tom Cruise. He's done some great stuff over the years. The occasional blooper, but other than that, I love him. He's my best mate for that sort of
Yeah, I mean, I quite like Oblivion. I quite enjoyed that film, but not everybody does.
No, actually, I didn't mind that. I have seen it. I couldn't. It's been a while. I need to rewatch that one. But actually, saying that there was his sidekick in The Mummy. I won't say I can't say what his name is, but me and the missus used to sit and watch New Girl on Channel 4, and he's in that. He's one of the main characters alongside Zoe Deschanel as well. And he's done a good couple of, just recently, because I think he was in the last Jurassic Park as well. So he's done quite a few bits and pieces now. Really good. Enjoyed it.
Good.
How about yourself? So other than Black Panther?
Well, I've watched Valerian again.
Classic.
I like it more than I did when I went to the cinema, but I still think he looks far.
But it's got that replayability, that movie, I think.
It has. And it looks stunning in glorious 3.4K.
Oh yeah, because it's not true 4K.
No, but it doesn't matter. It still looks fantastic. And it's a visual feast, is that movie. But I've been watching a bit on Netflix, so I watched The Brothers Grimsby. Have you seen this?
I watched the first 25 minutes. I think I got interrupted, so I never got to finish it. I mean, it's very early in the film, because it only just found his brother at the time. Yeah,
so for those of you who don't know, this is a action comedy film starring Baron Cohen, Mark Strong, Ian McShane, Rebel Wilson and Penelope Cruz. So there's a bit of a mixture for you. For a start off, so the story is MI5's top assassin Mark Strong has a brother. Unfortunately, he's a football hooligan, that's Sacha Baron Cohen, from the town of Grimsby, called Nobby. Nobby is everything a man from the poor English fishing town of Grimsby would want. 9 children, the most unattractive girlfriend in the north, who's Rebel Wilson as well. And there's only one thing missing in his life, his little brother Sebastian. After they were adopted by different families as children, Nobby has spent 28 years searching for him. Upon hearing of his location, Nobby sets out to reunite with his brother, unaware that not only is his brother an MI6 agent, but he's just uncovered a plot that puts the world in danger. On the run from being wrongfully accused, Sebastian realises that if he's going to save the world, he will need the help of the world's biggest idiot.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's as crazy as it sounds. I mean,
and it's definitely a put your brain in the bucket and carry on watching it.
I mean, this is like a Ali G kind of humour right the way through, which I think is the only type of humour that I think Sacha Baron Cohen can actually do. But it is funny, it is crude, it is rude, but it is hilarious in parts.
It's not one to sit there with the mother-in-law.
No, although I could imagine my mother sitting down and having a bit of a chuckle at it.
I don't know if my missus would, to be honest. Definitely not my mother-in-law. She'd never watch this.
I don't think that my missus would sit and watch it. She'd go, "That is rubbish," and walk out, or tell me to switch it over.
But is it Mark Strong that's plays Sebastian?
Yeah, Mark Strong's a fantastic actor, and of course Merlin off Kingsman.
Yeah, and I think that's the first time I've seen him. I think that was the first time I actually saw him. I think he's probably done other stuff, but it says it does what it says on the tin when you talk about Baron Cohen. I do remember the first 20 minutes there were some crude bits. At the beginning,
exceedingly crude bits. I think
with his missus. I'm not even going to repeat them on this show.
No, they were, yeah.
But if we swiftly move on, tell me why you watched this movie.
Well, I watched Eddie the Eagle, and the reason why is why not?
Of course not. No. Every movie's got a chance, but this wouldn't be one I would sit on top of the list to watch. But how was it? It
was good. It was a good little comedy, to be honest. I mean, obviously it's about Eddie the Eagle, who was the British representative at the ski jumping at the Olympics, who didn't win any medals, but I think won the hearts of nations with his determination to try.
He wasn't God's gift for looks, was he either?
No, he did have a bit of a Bruce Forsyth chin on him and that, didn't he? Back in them days, and those big thick glasses that looked like they were the bottom of beer goggles.
Yeah.
They were too complimentary, although he looks completely different now. When you actually see a picture of him now, you Google him now, he looks very different.
Oh, really? Let me have a look while you're chatting right here.
So it's just basically a dramatisation of the true life events, and it's got Taron Egerton, who plays Eddie, and he also plays Exy in Kingsman as well. So we seem to have had a Kingsman theme here tonight, even though we haven't actually watched Kingsman, quite strangely.
No.
You know?
Yeah, but it's funny because I watched the other day? No, actually, it was on the BAFTAs, because he came out to help not to give an award. And his accent is so not like it is in Kingsman. He really puts on this, dare I say, common accent, if I'm polite.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he's, nothing like that at all.
No.
But yeah.
But it's also got Hugh Jackman in as well.
Yeah, he does. He has done a few little, I won't say cameo, he does a few little bit parts sometimes in these movies.
Actually, he was quite a fundamental part of this movie because he was Eddie the Eagle's trainer. So, it's like he's on the movie for quite a bit of the film, but he plays a really good part as well. And to be honest, it's one of those sort of like happy, light comedy kind of films that's just enjoyable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It was on Netflix. So it's well worth a watch.
You've just reminded me of a film I actually watched over this last week, actually, because you mentioned Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And before he was really famous with Wolverine, he played Van Helsing.
That was after he'd...
Was it after?
I'm pretty sure it was. That was one of his first parts after Wolverine.
Oh, okay. Anyhow, that's neither here nor there, but I actually sat and watched it, and I've got I've got a lovely soft spot for that film. It's just, it feels very British, but it's not set in Britain, but it just feels like that with with him playing the vampire hunter, which I'm sure a lot of you guys will probably know this movie. But yeah, no, I quickly actually sat and watched that. But
yeah, Van Helsing was 2004. X-Men 2 was 2003.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's a long time ago. That was actually quite a good film as well, from what I remember of it.
Oh, it is. I've watched it 3, 4, maybe 5 times now.
Yeah.
But I don't actually. I actually watched it on Amazon. I think I might have a DVD copy, but I'd like to have a.
Yeah, I've got a DVD copy of it.
I'd like a 4K version if one was available.
I think probably best you'll get is a Blu-ray, to be honest, especially looking at when it was 2004. That's quite a while ago.
It is.
Yeah, 14 years ago. Where did that time go?
It's horrifying, isn't it?
It is. It is when you think it's like, a full, an official adult since the millennium.
Yeah.
A legal adult.
Is. When you go back and you go, what do you class as an old movie these days?
Yeah.
And as much as I was chatting to someone on Facebook the other night, we were talking about the Towering Inferno and Earthquake, the classic 70s disaster movies, which I'd love to go into it another night, but not today. But yeah, they're 40, 50 years old. Not 50, sorry, they'd be 40 years old.
Yeah.
Frightening that we're getting old.
Yeah, I don't like getting old, to be quite honest.
No. But just where movies are concerned at the moment, I mean, when I went into Sainsbury's, I don't do it too often. I actually picked up the Empire magazine.
Oh yeah.
And had a browse in there because it's all to do with Steven Spielberg this month. Obviously, with the impending Ready Player One, which is coming out at the end of March, and there were some interviews with him, from when he did Jaws and all sorts.
I've started listening to that on that Audible.
What, Jaws?
No, Ready Player One.
Oh, Ready Player One. Oh, sorry. Okay. I've actually started. I'm playing it again at the moment. I've actually got it on. I'm sort of halfway through part 1 actually at the moment. Just to hopefully finish off in time because I'm determined to get to the cinema to see that. And I think the missus will go. I will tempt her and say, we'll go and do it with the nice chairs and a bar. Glass of wine and that might keep her entertained.
So nothing like bribery and corruption then?
No, not at all, no. So, yeah, that's not much more I can say about that.
Just going back to the Brothers Grimsby, by the way, and Mark Strong, he was also in Kick-Ass.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, he was, the father, bad guy.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I can't remember. How long old is that movie now? Because...
Kick-Ass... I don't know, I'll tell you in a second. But I do love the Kick-Ass movies. 2010.
7, 8 years ago, blimey.
Yeah, that's longer than I thought it was ago. I keep thinking that's about 4 years ago.
Yeah. So, it's... I mean, do you know what? If we didn't have Internet Movie Database, where would we be looking for these movies?
Oh, God, yeah, exactly. Well, we'd have to pour our way through those things that are made out of dead trees, what they're called, books.
Well, I used to. It's funny that my mum and dad used to get, like, they used to have, like, a set of encyclopedias.
Yeah.
And every year they would get a yearly one, covering events and all sorts of stuff. And I'd always go to the movie section to just check back at who won in the Oscars and, have all this sort of lists in there, But yeah, these days you could just ask that certain person that sits connected to the internet and she'll tell you anything you want.
Yeah, very true.
So, okay, so we'll leave it there.
Yes.
There was something missing.
Okay, so debate time. And as you're aware, on Facebook, we've decided to go for 4 of the top action heroes as well. I know these maybe aren't in your order of action heroes, but these are maybe the mainstay, and we will get to some others a bit later. So
yes.
We will start. We've got Kurt Russell, Bruce Willis, Sylvester Stallone, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And before I start, Haydn, as I said this earlier, I'm going to give you an amount of money, and you're going to tell me who it is that it's worth.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So if I start with 180 million, who is worth 180 million out of those 4 people?
Kurt Russell.
Wrong.
It must be Bruce Willis then.
It is Bruce Willis, yeah. So Kurt Russell is actually 70 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you... Actually, I'm not going to tell you. So what do you reckon Sylvester Stallone's worth?
I reckon that he'll be worth, if Bruce Willis is 170,
180.
somewhere it probably... I mean, because, what do you call him? Stallone has done more movies, hasn't he?
Well, looking at our little list without taking everything into consideration, you can see...
Yeah, but I mean, Arnie took a bit of time off for being a governor.
Yeah, because if you look at what I've got there is the Internet Movie Database appearances for their appearances in movies. Yeah. So you can see Stallone has done 80. Yeah,
whereas Schwarzenegger's only had 65.
Yeah.
So I reckon that's going to have an impact on Schwarzenegger's net income.
Yeah.
So given that Bruce Willis is 170, I would say Stallone's a much bigger actor, because Willis has tended to take more unusual parts a lot of the time, and like being supporting cast in a lot of movies, like thinking about Pulp Fiction and stuff like that, and he's done other movies where he's not got a lot of input, but then he's had big blockbusters. So I reckon that Stallone must be, say, about 400 million.
Are you Googling this? Are you actually...
No.
So that is actually 400 million.
Is it?
For Stallone.
Cool.
So... What about Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I was just extrapolating that from Bruce Willis,
now,
to be quite honest.
Now, so what do you reckon on Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, well, what's
his net?
I reckon it's going to be 300 to 325 million, given the number of differences in the films.
I'll give you that. It's 300 million.
Wow. That was a good guess.
Yeah. But it's funny, nonetheless, Stallone's movies have made nearly $2 billion at the box office.
Wow, really?
That is incredible.
I would have thought, with the popularity of like Terminator and stuff like that, though, that Schwarzenegger's movies must have made near that.
Yeah, I was getting this from the bank rate, because this is where it sort of goes up to date from a certain point. So I think this was up to date from February. They've got, all of these characters have got some movies coming up in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
We've got remakes of Terminator, haven't we? I think there's another a Rocky or another. Or there's a couple.
Creed, isn't it?
Yeah. There's another Creed movie. Coming up. So yeah, but that's interesting, isn't it? That what a difference from Kurt Russell at 70 million. Not that I wouldn't sniff at 70 million, to be honest.
Well, I think the thing is with Kurt Russell is that he's actually done a lot more appearances, but they've not been in the big blockbusters.
No, well, I'd say Bruce Willis has done 119 and he's done 97.
Yeah, but some of it's about the parts that those two actors take.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's interesting. You can see there the crossover they've done between each other as well. Yeah. So we start with Kurt Russell. Tango and Cash was with Stallone, wasn't it?
It was. And it was a good film. I enjoyed that.
It is very much a Mickey take film, I think.
Yeah, it's a good laugh
as well. And I remember seeing this at the cinema, and I came in about a minute late, and we were sitting down on our seats, and it was the scene where there was the truck driver and the lorry, if you remember it.
Yeah.
And I think he was aiming at. I think it was either Stallone or someone that was aiming at the radiator on it at the beginning of the film.
Mm.
But so if we start with Kurt Russell, then do you want to say what your favourites are then out of all those as such, or
out of all of them, there's two standout movies, and that's got to be.
Well, maybe more than that, but go on.
No, but the two standout movies for me where he was the main star.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say Escape from New York. We're going way back to 1981. And 5 years later, Big Trouble in Little China. Two of the films that I grew up with.
See, when you grew up, how old were you then?
I'd have been 10 with Escape from New York.
Well, I would have been 16, at least.
Yeah.
16, 17. So
Big Trouble in Little China, I'd have been 15.
Yeah. And what a difference in age we make with this then, isn't it? Because I saw Escape from New York at a cinema in Switzerland.
See, I saw Escape from New York on my black and white TV in my bedroom first time.
And that, I think, it was funny, I think that was what, other than for John Carpenter, I think, obviously there was Halloween before that for him, for John Carpenter's movies. Escape from New York was a big thing for me. That film.
Oh, to be honest, Kurt Russell played it perfectly. Yeah. I mean, when I think of a hard guy who I would want to have with me at the end of the world, all I can say is, call me Snake.
Yeah, but there is a great cast that goes alongside that.
It was. I mean, Ernest Borgnine to start off.
Bless him.
Yeah.
He probably hadn't done much since the Poseidon Adventure.
Well, he did Airwolf, didn't he? After that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he did.
But to me, the ultimate, badass guy, Snake Plissken.
Yeah, and it's a film that I've tried to pass on to other people.
Yeah,
but some people just don't like it.
To be honest, some bits of it don't really age well, do they?
No.
I mean, there was what was it? It wasn't Doc, was it? Was Doc, wasn't it? Yeah, on this. He died recently, didn't he? The actor who played him.
Oh, you mean Brains?
Brains, that was it, not Doc. I don't know why I always think he's called Doc. Brains, yeah.
Because he was such a great actor. Obviously, he was in Alien and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
And he was even in with Ant and Dec in that spoof of the con on the autopsy.
Yeah, to be honest, I think when you're starting to take good actors and then put them in with Ant and Dec,
I know.
I think that tells you everything that you need to know about that movie.
But forgetting them for the minute and putting them to one side, no. But the guy, he's done a load of stuff over the years, and but even the woman, because it's funny that John Carpenter had the love interest to a certain degree. I mean, she did a few John Carpenter movies anyway.
Well, she was in Swamp Thing, wasn't she, as well?
Yeah, and she was in also The Fog, if I remember rightly, as well.
Yeah.
But it is a classic film. The score is superb with all the electronic that they used in that, the electronic music.
Yeah.
And
wrote by John Carpenter.
Yeah, and you can't forget Lee Van Cleef in that film either.
No, Lee Van Cleef as well. He was brilliant in it.
Not that you didn't like westerns, but that's his background, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no reason, just because he was, it doesn't mean he wasn't good in that role either, does it?
No, but he was alongside Clint Eastwood in some of the older movies, spaghetti westerns and that.
Yeah, and don't forget as well, there was also Donald Pleasance as the president as well.
Yeah, and again, another John Carpenter favourite that was hanging around with the Halloween movies as well.
Absolutely.
So, and I remember, I mean, I don't think Glyn will be listening to it just yet, but I actually got him to watch that movie, but it wasn't for him.
I'm surprised. I thought he'd have lapped it up, to be honest. But
yeah, but if it wasn't for Snake Plissken, wouldn't we not have Metal Gear? I don't know.
Well, exactly. We wouldn't have Metal Gear. So, no, I mean, it's when I think of Kurt Russell, I think of Snake straight away. The next one I think of is Jack Burton on the Pork Chop Express, which is Big Trouble in Little China.
But yeah, we'll go back one in a minute. But yeah, no, John Carpenter again.
Yeah.
Pulling out a great tongue-in-cheek movie.
Oh, it's a fantastic movie. Fantastic it is. And with, what do you call it, off Sex in the City as well.
Yes. You can look it up while you can look it up one. You can look it up while we're chatting if you want.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, you know, these really are two of the films that I grew up with, you know, and watched over and over again. I've had Escape from New York on just about every format, and I've definitely had Big Trouble in Little China on every format. I had it on Laserdisc, I had it on video, I had it on DVD, and now I've got it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the Blu-ray. I would love a 4K of Escape to New York. That would, you know, be right. I mean, I've got the soundtrack on vinyl. I've got it on digital. You know, I don't
think they'll ever do it though. Do you?
No.
Seriously?
No. I think for Kurt Russell though, because his background is a lot of Disney stuff.
Yeah.
If you go back to when he was sort of a teenager, he was doing all these little Disney movies that you wouldn't think at the time.
No.
And so
it was Kim Cattrall, by the way.
That's it, yeah. So you know, so she, you know, is such a fun movie to watch, even though they do take the mick out of this film to a certain degree, and you see them all those Chinese dudes at that sort of like funeral bit when they're all just kicking at each other, aren't they? Yeah,
I mean that is just such a fantastic scene. Is that one?
And then you get something right out of one of these fighting games. Where you get the guys come down, all the sparks flying off them. They've got those big hats on.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a brilliant movie. It's such a good laugh. It's an action comedy. You know, it's well worth watching. And the great thing is, nowadays, normally you can pick it up really cheap. But you know, the special effects of the guy who blows himself up are not too clever, like.
No,
but it's a good story that's all mixed up with Chinese mythology, isn't it? Is it Chinese or Japanese? I can never remember.
I would say probably being China. It'd be Chinese.
Yeah, Big Trouble. Yeah, of course. Duh. Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, it's Japanese. Of course it is. Yeah, Chinese mythology. Yeah, so it's a brilliant movie. Yeah. But those to me are the two standout ones. There are three out of the ones that he's done after that are probably the next tier down.
Yeah,
but
to be honest, you've missed The Thing, which is one of mine.
Well, no, I was going to say that The Thing would be in my next tier down of the ones that I think of when I think of him.
Yeah.
Because I would say The Thing, Stargate, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 will be the next ones for me, because I know that he's done other ones, because we've got Backdraft.
Yeah.
Fast and the Furious, Soldier, Tequila Sunrise. Oh, we haven't mentioned Tequila Sunrise. Tombstone, Grindhouse, The Hateful Eight, Vanilla Sky, and let's try and avoid mentioning Escape from LA.
As I said, that's why I didn't even put it in the list, because, sorry, it just didn't work for me.
Although I have to admit, it's got my favourite Snake Plissken moment in Escape from LA.
You think so? Okay. Well, that's okay for your point of view, but for me, I mean, you missed you missed the Grindhouse movie in Death Proof, which is Tarantino films, and the other ones he did, isn't it?
Yeah, I have to admit that I'm not a fan of Tarantino.
But he's just a good act. Those films, he acts well in those. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
You know,
I mean, the thing is, because he's also done great comedies as well, like Overboard and stuff like that. Because obviously he's married to Goldie Hawn, and he was in that with his wife.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, even though that's not an action film, it isn't a bad film.
No, and he's good at comedy. That's the other good thing about him. He's a good all-round sort of entertainer, really. But just going back to Escape from LA, the point I was going to say is my favourite Snake Plissken moment is that bit where, he's chasing after the bad guy, and then he falls off the car, whatever it is that he's climbing on.
Yeah.
And then he's surrounded by, some other guys, and he says, "Why don't we do this by Bangkok rules?" Throws up the can in the air. Says, when it hits the ground, draw. And he chucks it up in the air, gets his guns out while they're all looking at the can floating up in the air, and he goes bang, bang, bang. And then it lands, and he goes, "Draw." And that's just so it's such a comic, but such a brilliant action bit at the same time. I love that bit of the movie. And to me, that almost forgives the rest of the movie, particularly the surfing bit. But not quite enough.
No, but where compared to New York, to Escape from New York, where you didn't mention Isaac Hayes, who plays the Duke.
Yes.
Do you remember? And he had those two light lampshades on the side of the big car.
Yeah.
It's just
that was cheesy.
It was, but it didn't matter because that was, he was running the island as far as they're concerned, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So but it was just little bits like that, little nuances. It's just great. And don't get me wrong, Kurt Russell's a great actor. He's done some great movies. But saying it now, he's not my top. He won't be in my top. I'll give it in reverse order later, but he won't be top dog for me at least.
Fair enough.
But yourself, I mean, I know you grew up being as a child, and you took over those two films with you as a child and brought them with you.
But I did with a lot of other ones as well.
Yeah.
From the other actors, the Rocky films, for example. And you start looking at those, like Blind Date, Moonlighting.
So
all of those I grew up with.
So if we
Rambo.
If we go to Bruce Willis then.
Okay.
Believe it or not, had 119 appearances on movies.
I believe it because he takes bit parts as well.
Yeah.
It's almost sometimes some of the stuff when you look back at his film history, you think, is he actually that paranoid that he'll never get work that he almost accepts anything sometimes? But he's always plays such a good role. He's, and some people scoff at him, but I think he's all right.
But to be honest though, because I think his biggest franchise has got to be Die Hard for me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And when I went to see that back in 1988 at my local Odeon cinema in Reading, unbelievable film, absolutely unbelievable. And there's so many there's some good actors in that. There's some classic lines that he delivers that people will still remember to this day. And the way the movies went with the second one, if we're going to say this now, that Die Hard 1 and 2 are Christmas movies, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, they are. They're not action movies; they're Christmas movies.
Yeah. And
it's like, it's never Christmas until you've seen somebody being chucked off Nakamura Towers.
Yeah, Nakamura Towers.
Nakamura Towers.
Nakamura Towers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the haircuts. I know it might seem a bit dated, Die Hard, now with the haircuts and that and everything else. Especially the guys that are helping set the charges.
Yeah.
But it's such a classic film, and they got better. They got better and better. But
I have to admit, my favourite one's 3.
Die Hard with a Vengeance. Is that because of Samuel Jackson was such a class deliverer?
I think to be honest, it was the whole ensemble because it had Jeremy Irons in as well.
Yeah. Stuttering away as he did. Yeah,
and it reimagined the Die Hard and kept it in exactly the same sort of scenario, but basically it was a heist movie. Yeah. Well, I suppose the original Die Hard they've all been heist movies really, but this was more, direct sort of robbery kind of thing. And I just loved the whole story. I loved the bit where, he was arguing with Samuel L. Jackson. I love that bit where, he got plonked in the middle of, one of the black suburbs of America.
Yeah.
And, with all of the, anti-black stuff on him, and he was like, "Please don't shoot me," and all that as well. In terms of, because his character knew it was wrong, but I just think the whole way that they did that, and they turned Samuel L. Jackson and him into like
it was a double act
allies. It was a brilliant film.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I mean, the way he was like when he said, "Hey Zeus," he said, "Hey, you called me Zeus? Is that my name?" It was funny. And did you get the puzzle with the water? Did you actually work that one out in the cinema? Because it was you had to think about that.
It wasn't straightforward.
No, not at all. But with that, and obviously you've got the twist of all the gold. Being obviously the idea was not to steal the gold, was to actually blow it up so the economics of the country were going to fall to bits.
Yeah.
But Die Hard 2 as well. That was.
Yeah.
You can't believe he's doing the same stuff twice. In ducks, in a white shirt, vest, it was another good film, and I think they were okay except for one movie I didn't really like, which was not 4. I didn't mind 4. It was the one where they went to Russia.
Oh yeah, Another Day to Die Hard.
Yeah. I don't think that was up to scratch. I mean, there's talks of a new one again. Whether that means he's got a bit part in that, I don't know.
I think he's still okay to do that at the moment. Because, just diverting off, even though he's like getting older now, he still looks okay in some of these movies. Like, for example, I know it's 6 years ago now, but Looper.
Yeah.
The way that was done, that was really quite good. But I have to admit, Bruce Willis has been in one of my favourite all-time sci-fi movies.
The Fifth Element?
Correct.
Yeah, and that is if nobody's ever seen that, go and check it out.
Yeah, it's if you like sci-fi, it is a must see. Absolutely must see. Such a well imagined world.
Yeah,
very Metropolis in parts.
Absolutely, and it's done by the same director that did Valerian.
Indeed. Just a bit of a shame he didn't take the same magic on Valerian.
Well, I don't know, but I mean,
he certainly took the same visual style.
Yeah, and there's one little outfit that one certain actress was wearing in it, which always I think everyone
wasn't wearing in it in some bits. Yeah,
wasn't remembering it. But then you had those sort of films, but then you had the thrillers that he did, and Sixth Sense, for example.
Yeah, and Sixth Sense, it was one of those ones when it came out, I didn't go to the pit cinema to see it, but when I watched it on DVD first.
Did you stay away from spoilers?
I completely stayed away from spoilers. I knew nothing about it other than everybody was raving about it.
Yeah.
And, when you look back, Sixth Sense, it was 1999, it's not like we had YouTube and stuff like that to spoil it for us back in those days. And I sat and watched it, and I got to the end and went, no, and I put it on and I watched it all again.
Because then you see it again and you're going, yeah, of course, exactly, look.
Yeah.
He's looking at that direction, he's not looking in the, and then talking to his wife at the dinner table when he's not there, but she's there reminiscing about her or whatever. It's, excuse me, very, very, very clever film.
Yeah, and Unbreakable as well. I know you said you didn't enjoy that one as much, didn't you?
No, I've got another favourite which we'll talk about in a minute. But Unbreakable,
I quite like that one, and I went to the pictures with my wife to see it.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe I actually managed to get her to go to the cinema, let alone to go something with Bruce Willis in it. But I got her to go, and we sat and watched it. And as soon as Samuel L. Jackson came on and started talking, I turned around to my wife and I said, I know what the ending's going to be. Because once I'd seen Sixth Sense, I kind of thought, I know how this director's mind works now.
Yeah, because this was, if I remember rightly, this is when we had the train.
Yeah.
The train accident, wasn't it?
Yeah. And about 10 seconds before it was all revealed, I told my wife the answer. I said, don't be stupid. And he revealed it on screen. And yes.
But I want to talk about the other one that was back in 1998, which is Armageddon.
Yeah.
And I love that movie to bits. It's really you've got a group of actors that they don't go well together as the characters are supposed to do.
No.
But with Bruce Willis trying to organise this group to go up onto the do you know, I can't even think it now.
The comet.
Thank you. On the comet, and actually drill into it to get it to explode.
Yeah.
And with Steve Buscemi, for example, in it as well, who starts losing it.
And wasn't it also, what you call him, who used to be on films with Matt Damon, forgotten your Batman, Ben Affleck?
Yeah, because he was playing around with his daughter.
But would you actually say that Bruce Willis had the main role in this? Because I thought he had a minor role.
I think
think about it, Steve. He had a minor role.
Well, because we're going to have spoilers in a minute.
Well, he was a minor in it, so it's not exactly. I seriously, I thought you'd have got that one.
Don't worry, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's just such a classic movie, and it's funny. But obviously, we had the Twin Towers incident happen.
Yeah.
And just after, I actually stuck it back on again, not realising when you're watching the Twin Towers going up in smoke with all the leftover bits from the comet all coming down, you know, and people, it looks, you know, oh my God, was this what happened? No, it's just a movie, for Christ's sake, you know.
Yeah.
So that I do have that on DVD. I think I'd like to get a copy on Blu-ray at some point. It's probably quite cheap.
Yeah, I would
but
say
it's one of those. That is one of those sort of movies I'd like to see on the 4K treatment.
Yeah.
There is one little mistake in the film, though. Did you know that?
What mistake?
Well, when they're on the comet, on the which basically wasn't really a comet, was it? It was just a lump of rock in space. Yeah. Heading towards the Earth, and they got those the vehicles that are driving with the kit to do the drilling. We see one of the wheels go over grass. I
hadn't noticed that.
Yeah, it's there, and you think there's no grass on that rock. But it's just, I mean, it's a great sort of, it's just a great movie, that one. I just love it. It's really good. Yeah. It just, I don't know, that film, as much as I love the Die Hard movies, Armageddon always does get it for me as well.
I see Fifth Element for me. It's the crowning glory out of all of his films.
Oh, do you think so? Yeah. Yeah,
definitely. I'll tell you something else that I also quite like as well. Is he did quite a good part in G.I. Joe Retaliation. Not the best movie, but
I don't think I saw that film.
It was actually better than the original G.I. Joe, but he played like the retired G.I. Joe.
Right. Okay, I'm with you.
And, you know, he had that Mr. and Mrs. Smith moment where they went into his house and said, oh, we need guns sort of thing. And, you know, he pressed a button and his cooker turned over and there was a load of pistols. And then he opened up another cupboard and there was like submachine guns and stuff like that. Yeah, it was quite good.
I think, Bruce Willis is, I say, he's another great actor. I'm a little bit concerned about his next movie that's coming out.
Which one's that one?
Well, because it's a remake of one of my favourite 70s movies, which is Death Wish.
Oh, right. Is he doing that one?
Yeah, the trailers are out. It's ready to go. I'm not sure what date it's coming out. But that was a Charles Bronson movie, always will be. And to see him taking that role, I don't know. I'm not really too keen on it, to be honest. I'll probably go and see it anyway, but it's, you know, some films are left in their original state. You don't remake them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he has done some unusual films as well, hasn't he? Like Planet Terror.
Yeah,
you know.
He has. I mean, there's actually obviously he's done the Sin City movie
and Sin City 2.
Yeah, and another one of my all-time favourite movies is Pulp Fiction. I know his bit was a bit less in that compared to Samuel Jackson and. Oh dear me, terrible day. I should have this all written down so we know what we're talking about. John Travolta, Mr. Saturday Night Fever. Exactly, and Pulp Fiction is a classic, and I just love that movie to bits.
It is a classic. It is. But yeah, but that's what I mean. Is he would do more bit parts, and he was on Friends for several episodes.
But we got to mention one of his first TV shows,
Moonlighting.
Yeah,
with Sybil Shepherd.
And that had a big following back in 85. Was it 85 to 89 that was on for?
What's the link with Friends and Bruce Willis and Moonlighting?
Oh, I would say Jennifer Aniston, I'm guessing.
No. Sybil Shepherd.
Oh, really?
Because she played Chandler Bing's father.
Oh, okay.
As a drag.
I wasn't really keen on Friends that much. As much as I did watch it every now and then, I wasn't that hammered with it.
I think it was probably aimed at more my age group, to be honest. And it's the type of thing I used to watch all the time.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I did get to watch him, but it wasn't the be all and end all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think one of his worst movies, just quickly before we move on, he did a film where he was how would you call it? He was like a burglar. Do you remember that one?
No.
There was one called Hudson Hawk, if I remember rightly, and that was awful.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. To be honest, I don't think I've actually ever seen that film. To be honest, it never appealed to me for some reason, so I just probably avoided it.
I mean, we can mention when we get to Arnold, we can mention the collaboration movies that there are when we get to that point. Because I actually watched the third. Did I watch the third one the other night? Yeah, I think I did.
Did you know that, just out of curiosity, some of the stuff that he's done is really obscure? Like Rugrats Go Wild. He was the voice of Spike.
Yeah, no, because some of these characters. I mean, I think Stallone's done some as well.
Yeah, he was uncredited in Ocean's 12.
Yeah, and they've done a lot of these CGI movies with these sort of fluffy characters we're getting these days.
Yeah, he was on Over the Hedge.
Over the Hedge. They all decide to have a go at this sort of easy money.
Well, why not? You can't blame them. If somebody turned around to me and said, "Do you want to star in a film as a voiceover?"
Yeah,
I'd go, "Yeah, okay, if you want one with a Yorkshire accent."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right, so if we move on to Sylvester Stallone, now this is no particular order, by the way. It's the way it's been written up. So, and for me, Stallone has been a very big part of my life with his movies.
He has for me. I've got a little story about my association with Stallone, or how Stallone has been associated with me.
Okay, well, do you want to start with that first before we go on?
Okay, when Rambo First Blood Part 2 came out, which was what was it?
85.
I was 14.
Okay.
And I nagged my dad, and he took me to see it.
Oh, really?
So I went to the pictures to see it. Really enjoyed the movie. Went to school the next day. Went to PE. And bearing in mind, I was also in the part of the year as well where I couldn't be 15 to be in that year. I'm a PE.
So you were just one under, were you?
I was just one under.
Because the way the birthday falls, you were going to be. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't have been in that year, being 15 at any part of that year. And my PE teacher turned around and said, "Did you enjoy the cinema last night, Haydn?"
He was in there, was he?
And I said, "Sorry, Mr. Firth, what do you mean?" He said, "I was sat behind you while you watched Rambo." And then for the rest of my school life, he stopped calling me by my first name and said, "Come on, Rambo." So thanks, Mr. Firth. That gave me a very nice, fond memory. And also did. Mr. Lewis also started doing that as well. So thanks, guys.
Oh, bless. But I mean, Stallone actually started earlier than most.
Yeah, he did.
Because he obviously started with Rocky in 1976, which I think, if memory is right, even got an Oscar.
Yeah.
And as much as they're not action movies per se, I suppose there's action because it's all about boxing and everything else. Those movies do have a big part of my life from watching them. So because I caught Rocky it would be probably maybe a year or two after. Because I remember my next door neighbour said he'd just been to the cinema. So I was still at school, and he said, "Oh yeah, I went to see Rocky." Never thought much of it until I got to see it a little bit later, and then I think I saw it about a year before Rocky 2, and I went to see Rocky 2, and I just love those movies. There's a lot of emotion in those films. I don't think people realise this.
Yeah.
And it's, as much as people think that Stallone is stupid, he's far from it. He wrote those movies, and that's put his stepping stone in his movie career. Well forward. And
let's face it, how many actors can honestly say that they've done so well from a Rocky start?
yeah, okay. Another Haydn little clip there, yeah. So obviously he had a break for a while between Rocky 2 and Rocky 3.
Yeah.
And you're not a footy fan, so you probably didn't like Escape to Victory.
No, I didn't watch it, to be honest.
You wouldn't have done. So where for me, some of the actors, the football stars of the time, and maybe a little bit past it, were in that as well.
Yeah. But
with Michael Caine as well, Stallone trying to be a goalkeeper, trying to break away from the Germans. Brilliant film, absolutely brilliant. But then with Rocky 3 and Mr. T, superb, absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And from that early part of his career, you're getting 3 sequels in between, very quickly there.
Yes.
And then taking a break for 3 years, and he throws up First Blood, which is I think, again, to be honest, those, as much as we got some smaller films to talk about there, the Rambo sequels and Rocky are just superb.
Yes. The first one I saw was Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Okay. Because First Blood, I think, was actually an 18 certificate, as whatever it would have been at the time.
I think, yeah. But obviously that was him coming back to America as a vet and then finding out that he was being rejected by the people who he'd fought for in Vietnam.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And
I think in that sort of respect, it's a very kind of sensitive movie, even though it is an action sort of one as well. But
it was based on a book, by the way. Do you know that?
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah. But yeah, I went to see that. I went to see First Blood, and I got to see a pre-showing of it before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to do a questionnaire afterwards for my thoughts. But fantastic film, absolutely fantastic. Again, great score. They got some great score in that for the music. And unfortunately, there's one woman in the government that despised Rambo because the amount of killings it had. It was always said, and the amount of killings in that film was unbelievable.
Well, it was Schwarzenegger and Stallone at that point were going head to head on who can have the most kills in a movie, weren't they?
Yeah.
Even though when you actually look at it, Star Wars, killed hundreds of thousands of people all in 1 second. Well, millions actually, because it killed Alderaan as well. But that didn't count because it was on-screen kills.
Yeah, because it was like at the time Mary Whitehouse that was.
Oh God, yeah.
She was there trying
Bless her.
put the knife into horror movies for the what they were trying to ban at the time in the early 80s.
Now there's a picture Mary Whitehouse trying to put a knife into anything.
Yeah. God, that'd be for another story, another time. But yes, so First Blood Part 2 was great, and then he's done some single movies, obviously Tango and Cash with Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And his other double act was Escape Plan.
With Schwarzenegger.
And what a good film that is.
I've only ever watched it once. Was it once, twice? Maybe twice. But
yeah.
I have to admit, for me, even though, and this is the interesting thing, because you thought this was one of his minor films, and to me, it was probably one of his most major, which is Demolition Man. Which
we mentioned a little couple of weeks ago. And it is a great, he's done about 4 or 5 movies like that.
Yeah.
And they're all great movies.
Well, Cliffhanger, Daylight.
Yeah, and all the way back in 86 with Cobra, if you remember that.
I never really liked Cobra that much, to be honest.
I think if I remember right, what did he say? I'm the disease, you're the disease and I'm the cure.
Yeah, do you remember on Twins, when Schwarzenegger was walking around and he saw a picture. There was a poster of the Cobra thing with, Stallone showing all of his muscles. And Arnie stands next to it, pumps his arm up, goes, play, and then walks off. That was good.
Yeah. And of course there was Lock-Up as well, which was where he was thrown into jail, a bit wrong. They're just all class films, and obviously with the way where the Rocky films went, and then he obviously took a back seat in that with Creed. Yeah. First time I watched that was the other week. I was very impressed with that.
I haven't seen that one yet, to be honest. I don't watch another Rocky movie for a very specific reason. And that is, I was loaned a box set of Rocky movies. And I watched them. And when I'd finished them, I couldn't see. And that was because I'd caught conjunctivitis. But my eyes were so puffed up, it looked like I'd actually gone through all 7 movies fighting Stallone. So my wife turned around to me and she said, "You're not watching any more of those bloody Stallone Rocky movies."
Yeah, I watched Balboa over the last weekend, and I saw Creed as well. And they're just because it's end of his career, and he's lost his wife, he's lost members of his family that he had there. His boys not up to scratch with him, but obviously he moved away to Canada come Creed. But it's they do pull my heartstrings, to be honest. I know Nicky would be screaming at me saying now that Rocky V was the worst movie that he did in that selection. It wasn't the best, but I can just say I'm looking forward to Creed 2.
Yeah,
with Ivan Drago.
Yeah.
And his son. So I can imagine it'd be Creed. It'd be Creed's son versus Ivan Drago's son in that one, and Stallone would be doing the training.
I'll tell you what they should have. They should mix it up with a video game, and they could have like the Assassin's Creed.
Oh,
get Stallone in the Assassin's Creed universe.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we've both watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2 recently, and to see him in that sort of took me back a bit. I didn't expect it. No,
there was a few people like that, wasn't there? There's another film on that he's done that he's not on here, and I was thinking about, I must raise it, and I can't think of what it is because it's not there.
Was it a comedy? Is it like Throw Mama Off the Train or something like that? That was pretty awful.
Throw Mama from a Train wasn't a bad movie. That was Billy Crystal anyway. No, it's Judge Dredd.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why that one isn't in there, but yeah. No.
And to be honest, I don't think it was his fault that was a bad film. I think that the problem was the story, because what's the one thing that we all know about Judge Dredd that never happens?
That's taking his mask off.
Exactly, his helmet's always on. Carl Urban gets it perfect. When I heard Carl Urban was going to be Judge Dredd, I thought, you were joking. And I'll tell you what, although it wasn't a great Judge Dredd movie, he was a great Judge Dredd in it, if you know what I mean. But unfortunately, it just fell short of the mark for the 2000 AD fans, I think, that one.
Well, they're die hard on certain things, aren't they? And when it comes to that, it's you got to be spot on for that.
Yeah,
I think.
Definitely.
Should we move on to Arnie, shall we? So, 65 appearances.
And being the governor of California as well.
And the governor of California. And again, a couple of good franchises there.
Yes. Well, obviously one of the biggest franchises, Terminator.
Do you think that comes up on top separately to what we might think of who we like the best out of all these? That franchise comes out on top out of everything anyone's done?
I think that's going to be the top franchise. You see, what I'm going to say is I'd have to categorise things in probably a couple of different ways, because my favourite actor and my favourite action hero out of this selection are different. There you go.
You want to repeat
My
that again?
favourite actor overall and my favourite action hero to watch are different out of this selection.
Okay. If you can...
So,
yeah.
But I would say probably the Terminator's probably the biggest franchise out of there. I think it's bigger than Die Hard. I think it started off smaller, but I think it grew bigger. It
did have a few dips, though, didn't it? Because of the way it went. I mean, Terminator 2 was the biggest Terminator film there. That made an absolute mint. And even seeing it now in its all its 4K glory, it still holds up today, I think. But,
I mean, you know, the Rocky films, I don't think, while the Rocky films are tremendously big and important movies, I don't think that the Rocky franchise is as big as the Terminator one.
Well, it's a different genre, though, isn't it? It's sci-fi. We've got science fiction there, and it's more of a drama, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've got a favourite. I've got a favourite that would come on top out of all those, but then I've got a favourite franchise that will be to one side of that.
Am I going to guess that your favourite is Total Recall?
It comes close.
Ooh.
I'd say I've got a very big soft spot for Terminator 2. But I've got there's a little cluster of films that sit there at one part of my life as a teenager. And you're talking from 1984 to at least 1991. And they're in order there as well. So you can see you've got Terminator, you've got Commando, you've got Raw Deal, Running Man, Predator.
Well, they're not franchises. They're one-off movies.
No. They're one-off movies, but to me, they come as a little set for me. Because as a teenager, they were really one of my favourites from Arnie's point of view. And then they start off, I mean, you can add True Lies to that list. And then they started to dip after that.
Yeah, they did. But I think that was where he was starting to get more politically active, wasn't it? I mean, The Running Man.
But I've watched that film so many times. And it's even cheesier than Big Trouble in Little China.
Come on, The Running Man is so cheesy you could serve it at Christmas with crackers.
You could. But then you got something like Predator, which is for an action movie.
Yeah.
I'm horrified they're remaking it. I can't believe they're doing that.
It's a mistake. It is because, to be honest, the way that the Predator movies are, they could quite happily just start reboot the franchise in a way, but still keeping the original one canon. You know, there is no need to remake the original at all. I
mean, the second one was a bit poor, I must admit. It wasn't the greatest.
Danny
Glover.
He wasn't the right action guy for it. He played an alright part, but he wasn't, even though he was big in Lethal Weapon and that, he wasn't big enough, in my opinion, for that franchise. He wasn't a strong enough star. If they'd turned around and said, right, we'll have Stallone this time, that would have been better. But they didn't, so, you know.
No.
But, I mean, he's what I like about Arnie is how he can do action and comedy. And I know we're talking about action movies, but, you know, there's True Lies is a good comedy in parts.
But I think that's still class. I think I was still classed as an action movie, though. He's a spy undercover that is he's keeping it quiet from his missus.
Twins, that's quite a good laugh. But also Kindergarten Cop, Jingle All the Way.
Oh, I really cringe at that moment when you said that, really.
It's an alright Christmas movie. It's one of those family ones that you stick on and watch with the kids, sort of thing, and they love it. And, you know, but The Last Action Hero, that was, funny.
No, I don't mind that one to a certain degree. Because he's taken the mick out of himself.
But to me, his best one was one of his earliest. No, comedy-wise.
Oh, sorry.
It's on the list.
Comedy on the list.
See if you recognise it. I've mentioned it before.
I'm trying to... Go on. Oh, that one. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, Cactus Jack. It's a good laugh.
I probably need to source that one out and have a look at it, just for peace of mind and what you're on about.
After I talked about this a few weeks ago, and somebody put on because I put a picture on saying that I'd actually ordered it from Amazon because it was only a couple of quid. And they said, I seriously thought that you were actually on drugs when you were talking about that until I actually proved that the film's there. And
well, I saw you had that screenshot of the poster, didn't you? And I saw that and I thought, oh, my God. You know.
People don't believe me when I say about Cactus Jack. It is a legit film. Look on IMDb. Look on Amazon. You'll be able to see it on there. And it's just a bit of fun. You know, it's a bit of a laugh. It's very sort of childish kind of humour, but I enjoy it.
Actually, there's one film I've not got on here, which I quite enjoyed, and it was more of a drama, and that was Maggie.
I've not seen that one.
Yeah, check that one out. That was you know, it's about, you know, sort of an apocalyptic time, and with his daughter and that, and it's well worth.
I've not seen that one.
But should we finish off though with the franchise at least brings three of these guys together? Yeah,
the Expendables,
which is and I think they bring. I mean, actually, unfortunately, Bruce Willis only appeared in one, didn't he?
Yeah,
and didn't get to go in the other two. But they're just like the dirty. Well, I mean, I don't know if you remember the Dirty Dozen from the 70s, and this is that you know, of old now. This is the next sort of level of that idea with all these big superstars.
Yeah,
I mean, the list is incredible to see who actually, if you go through all three films together and see who's in.
Well, even like the likes of Harrison Ford's in one of them, isn't he? Jason Statham.
Yeah, because that was the one I watched recently with Harrison Ford, and you had the baddie in that one was Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And you know, you don't. I mean, again, another good actor for this sort of an action style movie. It's just classics, absolute classics. And they are park your brain in the bucket again, and just sit and watch them.
But to be honest, I like those sort of films where I do park my brain in the bucket and suspend disbelief.
Oh yeah, because it's just
exactly
fun,
because that's the whole point is that those sorts of films should be an escapism. So that's how I feel about. That's how.
I mean, looking forward for Arnie. I mean, obviously there's rumours of another Terminator reboot, and we're going to see an Escape Plan 2 as well. So I'm thinking Stallone's going to be in that as well.
Yeah, hopefully. So, have you got an outstanding? I mean, it's very difficult to pin an actual movie out of this. Is there one movie out of all those people there? Can you actually pin one out? Because I can't. To say it's hard to do because I grew up in my teenage years and my late, you know, at school with Stallone and moving on with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then obviously Bruce Willis was in my teenage years with Kurt Russell. I can pull out one for each one.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with Kurt Russell as Escape from New York.
And I'm going to totally agree with you on that one.
Okay. Bruce Willis, The Fifth Element.
That's interesting because I would say that, but I'm probably going to go Die Hard 2.
Fair enough.
On that.
Stallone. I'm going to say Demolition Man.
Oh, I love that movie. It's difficult. Very difficult.
The seashells have got to win.
Oh yeah,
that's a reference to the movie for anybody who hasn't seen it. Watch it.
You've got it, because you remember you got Wesley Snipes in that film as well.
Yes, and Stallone get taught knitting, and Wesley Snipes gets taught martial arts and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go for Rocky.
Fair enough.
I think on that one.
Schwarzenegger
is again hard, isn't it?
Schwarzenegger, I think, is probably the hardest out of all of them.
Because I would go for Total Recall. You're probably right there, but then I've got to say that little cluster of movies between 84 and 99, that 10 years of time of movies he did. It's, I mean, you can exclude Last Action Hero there, but that list of movies, they do resonance with me quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I will, on a limb, I'm gonna say Predator.
I'm still going to say Total Recall.
Yeah, it's hard. I could say that as well. To be honest, it's
Well,
not easy.
For me, it's got Michael Ironside in as well, so it's, you know, Total Recall.
Yeah, and Sharon
exactly.
Stone.
So why wouldn't you say it?
But there's some classic. I mean, there's some classic lines in Terminator. You got. I mean, Running Man as well.
Yeah, it's showtime.
But then and Red Heat actually was a comedy theoretically, wasn't it? Because that was where he was a Russian cop.
I never really liked Red Heat, though, to be honest. I never got on with it. And also, the least said about Batman and Robin are better.
Actually, sorry, no, Red Heat is... No, it's not Red Heat, is it? I've got the wrong one. There's one missing from there, actually, in that list, because it's not an action film, but it was a cop movie. No, Red Heat was the... he was undercover for drugs in probably Florida or something, if I remember rightly. And, True Lies. There's some classic bits in True Lies, and I love the bits at the end with the Hawker Harrier. You know, and you got that guy doing the hoovering in the office. And half that building goes missing. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
So who are you going to put in there then?
Right.
As your favourite actor? Because this is not easy.
My favourite actor, which I said I'm going to do separately to my favourite action hero. My favourite actor is Kurt Russell.
For many reasons, for me, there is the two mainstays there. It's very difficult, but due to with what I grew up starting when I was a kid with Rocky, I'm going to go Sylvester Stallone.
I knew you were going to do that. So who's my favourite action hero? If it's different, you've got one of three chance of winning.
Well, I'm going to say for action because it's going to have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, definitely. I just think he's just got that slight edge over Stallone. That's not to say I think Stallone's bad.
No, God no. I mean, I'd love, as I said before, and I said to you this a little while ago, that there's a couple of black tie dinner events to meet Sylvester Stallone, and if I could afford to do it, I would. It would be a great experience.
Absolutely.
And but you know, I'm not going to say that Kurt Russell is bad because he's not. Because I do love The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China and Escape from New York. Backdraft's pretty cool. Tequila Sunrise.
He was even in Vanilla Sky.
Yeah, I don't
Neither do I, to be honest, but evidently he was.
Yeah.
So okay. So shall we do the listeners' views?
Yep.
Do you want to start or shall I?
Okay. Go on, you start while I just drink my last bit of coffee.
Okay.
It's getting cold.
Matt Prudhomme says, for me it has to be Arnie. Good choice. He introduced me to the whole thing. Really, his early films of The Terminator and Predator really stood out. Wasn't ever keen on Stallone's films apart from Rocky 3 and 4. Good soft spot for Bruce Willis, as I enjoyed Moonlighting in the 80s. So did I. He was dead funny in that, and to see him become a big star was great to see.
Ben Sorway says Kurt Russell because without Kurt we would not have no Snake Plissken, and without Snake Plissken we have no Solid Snake, and without Solid Snake we have no Metal Gear. I totally agree on that. I can. That is just absolutely true. And is it just Mark Robb just says there, call me Snake?
Nicky Wilson. Well, Arnie definitely was the last action hero, but the flip of a coin between Stallone and Schwarzenegger. Flip came out Schwarzenegger. Get to the chopper.
Paul Barber, I've got to give the man the vote. It can be such a mean dude and of the puller being Elvis, and that's Kurt Russell. Oh, you forget that he played Elvis Presley? I just can't remember that.
Yeah,
I don't want to remember.
Neither do I, to be quite honest. I think that would be quite. Actually, what we never mentioned Stargate for Kurt Russell either.
Yeah, with that short haircut.
Yeah, even though he got completely taken over by MacGyver in the TV series, but never mind. Craig Cole put Kurt as the best quote ever. I was born ready.
Okay, Michael Edwards says Willis for me. Got to love his dry wit.
Yeah, well, he is a witty guy. Alan Cochrane, Stallone for me, Love, First Blood, Cliffhanger and Rocky.
Andrew Elmsley has said Arnie overall, but The Thing starred Russell is one of my favourite horror movies ever.
It is one of my favourite ones as well. Leon Hunter, Willis because of his Die Hard is the greatest action film ever. Yippee-ki-yay, I'm not going to say the rest because we all know what that is and we're trying to keep it clean lyrics as much as we can.
You could say it in a good place.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Watch the Good Place episode, or listen to the Good Place episode and watch a Good Place on Netflix if you want to know what that's all about. Come to Papa, I'll kiss you, whatever. Some of his other quotes as well. I think we won't bother reading out the rest of those.
No. Andrew Esme's got is saying Die Hard. It's actually Jew Hard, he says there. I don't know if that's a mistake or not.
Michael Haddock, Big Trouble in Little China, Russell +1.
Yeah. Mike Brendan Barnden has said Jason Statham. It used to be Sly, but he might look over the consistency and skill of Jason could take a lot more of it. But again, we
I
could
think
put Jason
we'll do
another...
a Jason Statham sort of one because of some interesting things that he's been on that people don't realise, especially where one way does a very annoying American accent as well. If you ever want to watch that, the one movie that he does that in, that's a hint on what movie it is as well. Gordon Galloway, Gallery, Arnie for the vote on action, but go for my action and comedy is Mr. Chan. Can't beat his comedy takeouts when he performs his own fight scenes and stunts. So I think Jackie Chan is on about there.
Yeah, well, Craig Vaughan is talking about someone else we can talk about for hours on end. He's considering Tom Cruise with Mission Impossible Jack Reacher. Can't
argue with that. But he's also saying Stallone.
And yeah, he says Stallone there as well. Yeah. Good man.
And Gary Smith says Arnie Stallone just takes on an army but gets my Christmas prezzies. Yeah.
That's it.
So, hope you've enjoyed that.
That's not bad, is it?
I think we could have waxed lyrical a lot longer on all of those, but we've got to carry on with the show.
And we got time restraints, unfortunately. So from here, then we'll move on to questions.
John, what's happening to us?
Okay, let's start now with listener questions. And Mark's come up with two again as usual for us. And the first one is, with the relative success of the Switch, can you see future consoles being more handheld or big with the screen crossover based?
No, in a word. I think what we'll find is that the handhelds will become dual, like the Switch. I still think the 3DS's time is numbered, because when Nintendo realise that the only people they're competing with in the mobile market is themselves, they'll ditch the 3DS.
Yeah, because we have the Vita, which is discontinued now.
Yeah, hasta la vista, baby.
Funny enough, I did have it out. It's funny, I did have it out. Put it out this afternoon just to repower it up, and the missus was sitting there chatting about it, and I just started playing Persona 5 on it because I just linked it to the PlayStation, which is still I think that's a great way of using a handheld.
It is, but it's still very intermittent how it works well.
When you're when you're in the same room, it's fine. It's when you wander around the house, it can be a bit lack on that. But yeah, Nintendo are unleashed on their own. They got no one else to fight for the handheld. It's theirs only, and they can do what they want, really. Yeah. So
yeah, I think that from now on, Nintendo are going to do this dual big screen, small screen thing rather than having the 3DS. I just think it's going to die this year. Yeah,
interesting. I mean, there are people that love to collect consoles and all sorts, so there's always a market out there for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're their own beast, I think, and that's as much as it is, really.
So what I don't get with the Switch, if I was Nintendo, I think the way that I would do it is release 2 versions of the Switch. One would be the Sully handheld, and the other version being the small screen, big screen one. The small screen, big screen one being like the Switch is now. The handheld, total handheld version being the same as the base Switch is, but with the controllers welded to the side of the screen, but having a dock that you bought separately so that you could upgrade it if you wanted to.
I think you have to make that a little bit cheaper though, because if you decided to go...
But that's what I mean, is that that would then mean that they could reduce the price. If they welded the controllers to the side of the screen and got rid of all of the Bluetooth and all of that that's in there, and they got rid of the dock and anything else that made it not just a pure machine, portable machine, then they could knock the price down to about where the 3DS XL is, I think.
Yeah.
And then they could charge you £60 for a dock, so that effectively you'd get that, but obviously what you wouldn't get then is the Joy-Cons. But what they could do is make it so that whatever version you've got, the Joy-Cons will work. It's just if you buy the portable version, in my scenario, the Joy-Cons are welded on, and if you want other Joy-Cons or you want to go big screen, you've got to buy either a Pro controller or more Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
That to me would be a logical kind of business way of doing it, so that they keep, they can reduce the price to make it more accessible for people who don't want to spend £270, but also make it so that it's upwardly compatible with the bigger brother. I don't know, I just think that might work.
Yeah, I mean, they've sold so many now, I don't think they need to bring out another part version or change it really. I think, it's sold so many now that it's probably still going to keep selling. There's always someone that's going to buy it. Well,
the other option, of course, is what they could do, is just sell it as the screen and the Joy-Cons, but get rid of the dock. I don't know, I was just thinking of ways that they could actually just reduce the cost further.
Yeah.
In terms of the production, and that just seems to be wipe out most of the technology that is required in the Joy-Cons, so that if people want the Joy-Con experience, which I know that you need those for certain games to be able to move them in certain ways and whatever, then you'd have to go and buy those separately, but that'd be the cost of buying a cheaper version, so it'd cost you more in the long run.
Yeah,
as
maybe.
These things normally do. If I was in charge of Nintendo, that's the way I would do it, and just delete the 3DS out of the equation.
Maybe. Well, you could send them. You could email Nintendo your idea.
Yeah, and if there's anybody from Nintendo who's heard this and thinks it's a good idea, just remember where you heard the suggestion first, because I will copyright it.
Yeah, I'll do a patent on it.
Yeah. If you could get a patent pending on someone's intellectual IP.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to go to his second question?
Okay, how long do you think it'll be before media becomes almost entirely digital?
I couldn't put a time on that. I still think there's a place for hard copies.
I'll tell you exactly when. When manufacturers stop giving us the ability to load hard copies. That's when, in reality.
Or when they bring the prices down enough that they don't need to make them, that they can give it to a decent price digitally on release day.
I don't think they're going to bring the price down. I think that the prices for the digital content and whatever, they had the ability to ship stuff to us at the price that they said if we didn't have to ship everything. If we didn't have all of these other costs, we could get stuff to you cheaper. And they don't do that. Even when you look at the sales, I mean, you look at the PlayStation sale that's going on at the moment, I think that Sony actually need to know what the definition of the word sale means. It generally means that stuff's cheaper than what you can get it for, otherwise. Sometimes Microsoft's exactly the same as well, with their overpriced stuff on the store. And I think as long as we can load media in, and the hard media is cheaper than what we can buy it digitally, we will buy it as a hard thing.
Yeah, I mean, It's difficult to say because you don't want to start losing some of these shops, you know, because you're gonna do away with those, aren't you? And it's nice. I love the day of going out to a game shop and having a bit of a browse.
I used to love the days where you used to go and say, "Can I try this game?"
Yeah.
When was the last time that you tried a video game in a store?
No, can't remember that.
Doesn't happen. Last time I remember doing it, it was in the 16-bit era.
Mm.
But no, I think what I can see happening is like a halfway house, because now everything needs to be installed. Apart from the Switch, let's just park the Switch to one side. Let's look at the big two, which is Sony and Xbox. We can't compare PC because that's, while the same market, it is different, and it is also a different mindset. I think PC owners have a different mindset to the way that console owners have. And Steam has revolutionised the PC market. But looking at the console sort of games, you need to install them onto your hard drive to play them. What I can see happening is the possibility of both of the big manufacturers not supplying it on a disc or even on a cartridge or a USB stick. Possibility a USB stick, but I think that's less likely because it's more expensive. But actually providing you a code that you can associate and then disassociate with your account, so you can trade the card.
Yeah, if shops are going to sell this, they'll have a smaller shop for starters, won't they?
Shops would like it because they wouldn't have to have the outlay of all of the hardware. And you think about it, when you buy a store credit card for Xbox or for Apple or whatever, what happens with that card that you get from Tesco or wherever it is that you buy it? They scan it and activate it.
Yeah, they do. People try to nick them, but you can't do much with them unless you scan it.
Exactly. So it's a way that they can get rid of the problem of, they can eradicate thieves straight off. So all that they need to do is put in something that you go onto your account on your Xbox or your PlayStation, and you say, right, disassociate this game with my account. And then what it does is it takes that number from that card and switches it off your account. And then you can take the card that's got the number on it and give it to Kex and say, I want some money for it. Thank you very much. Or CEX, for those people who don't like the way I say CEX.
Yeah, I still think we're going to lose out. I think we're all going to lose out because everyone likes to trade now and then. Yeah. That would be the biggest. If it entirely does go digital, that is the thing that we're going to miss most. Whether it means people will spend less because they have a budget to go by. Where when you trade stuff in, you get a bit more money back. Not obviously a great deal, but you get something back that you can buy something else with. So I think it would be foolish still to completely wipe it out at the moment.
Well, how many games would you look at and say, I'm not going to buy it now? I think that would be more, because you're only going to get the games that you're really, really, really sure of.
And it's, again, these sales that are the tipping point for certain games that you think you'd never normally pick up.
Yeah.
You see something for 15, 20 quid, which was normally 40. Oh, I can get that. Yeah. And again, these sales are more prevalent now. It's never a Christmas sale or it's never an Easter sale, because we got sales on every month. So it's an ongoing thing these days, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But yeah, interesting. Yeah. Okay, if we move on to Facebook, Mark Prudhomme has said, do you have any TV series that you didn't watch initially as they were, as they didn't appeal to you when you first saw the screening. Do you know, I can't think of any.
He also says he's just watched.
Oh, I do apologise. Oh, yeah, I do apologise because I didn't see that below there. Yeah, that's my fault. So we just binge watched The Leftovers and loved it. Although I can see why it wouldn't appeal to all, and it can be a bit weird. I forced myself through the first few episodes and ended up being addicted to it. So, what shows have you experienced like that in the past? I suppose I could say Dexter because I didn't watch that when it came out.
Yeah.
And as much as it took me a while to get my missus to get through a few episodes. And then we did just go through that every night. Also, 6 Feet Under was another show that we enjoyed.
You've been saying about that to me as well, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a fantastic drama. And we did that one as well. I think those two do come to mind. I don't know about yourself.
I think there's been quite a few series that I've come to late. And that goes right back, way back, to Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. When that was first on, I never used to watch that. And then after it had all finished, I started watching it.
Oh, really?
And the same with Angel as well. But more recently, The Good Place. That had already started when I started watching it. And we did do a special on that. Don't forget to watch that. But also, more recently, Game of Thrones has, completely got hooked on that. And now I have to wait 18 months for the next and final series. I really wish I'd, just got hooked on it in 18 months' time. That might have been a bit better. Then I wouldn't have had to wait. And also recently, I've started watching The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
Never could get into that. Tried. I've watched season 1 about 4 times, trying to get into it and never felt it. See, watching it at different times. Went through all of the episodes, never felt it. And then, I don't know why, I think I was just bored and I couldn't find anything I wanted to watch on, so I thought, I'm going to give it a try again. And I've started watching it now. So, I don't know what that's about, but I'm on season 3 now.
Yeah, I came away from it a couple of seasons ago, so whether I'd go back to it, I don't really know, to be honest. It's not been one that we've been, we used to look forward to it every week, but it's really, I got sort of bored of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's one of the dangers, and I think that's one of the benefits of watching programs the way that we can now with services like Netflix.
Yeah, that's it.
Amazon Prime, because you can binge watch it and you don't get the thing of being bored, following it on.
No.
I mean, now when I think about it, would I have watched Lost now how I used to? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, actually, do you know what? I think we actually binged that after it had been out. That's another one, to be honest.
Yeah. And I love Lost, rather.
Oh, I did. Some people, I know the ending was a bit of a cop-out. Depend on your point of view, I suppose.
Was it?
Well, we're not going to...
Maybe that's one for a discussion one time.
Oh, God, yeah.
What was Lost about? And we should call that show We Have to Go Back.
There were some great actors and actresses in that have moved on, even now.
Yeah, entirely.
Shame
that one of them went to Speed Racer.
Yeah, but one went to Ant-Man, so that was all right.
Yeah, that's true.
And she's lovely.
And she's going to be the Wasp, isn't she?
Oh, is she really? Oh, okay. So we'll carry on with what we're talking about, because we do too much of this. We'll be talking about something else for hours. So yeah, I think Lost did come to mind on that one.
Yeah. For
me, which is another great show. But
Yeah, but it's a lot more difficult to watch programs week in, week out, I think.
Well, it's funny because sometimes a TV show would stop people actually going out for their Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
As much as we had video recorders to do that. I'm talking back in the early 80s now.
Yeah.
There was the occasional show that would stop the world from doing something.
And one of those once was a TV program that we both loved. I still do.
Which one was that?
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Because I know my mum and dad have never been Trekkies, but they've always loved sci-fi. And obviously before my dad died, but before I was born, when Star Trek was first on the BBC,
yeah,
my mum and dad always used to tell us about, well, before you were born, we'd go to Middlesbrough, do our shopping for the day, come home, watch Star Trek, and then get ready and then go to the Odeon and go and watch a film on an evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what they used to have to do because there's no video recorders back then.
No.
And it was either you watched it or you didn't. Whereas now, I think the whole concept for children growing up now, that if you didn't see something, you might never see it, is a mind-blowing concept.
And also, you would have missed out sometimes on some of the classic adverts of the time.
Oh, yes.
Because the idea of skipping the adverts when they broke a show into, say, an hour show into, say, 2 or 3 parts.
Yes.
It's weird now that, how it all works. It's crazy, really.
It is. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yes. So, that's you next, isn't it?
It is. So, Paul Barber. Darksiders is an 8-year-old game I have just discovered, and it stopped me playing other current titles. Have you had an older game you have discovered that has gripped you long after it was released?
I suppose, going back a bit, I would normally get most release games at the time.
Yeah.
So, can I think? I can't think. Off the top of my head, I can't think of one. I think all the games I wanted to play, I played at the time they were released.
Mm-hmm.
And really, just thinking about it, I suppose you could say some of the PlayStation titles, even though I didn't have a PlayStation at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say surely Uncharted and whatever.
And Last of Us.
Yeah.
Will probably come into that for me. And those games did stop me playing titles.
What about The Order?
Not played that one yet.
Have you not?
No.
It's worth picking up.
Yeah. So yeah, because I think at the time that did, when I picked up my PlayStation, that did stop me playing some of the titles on the Xbox for a while, where I started finishing games on the PlayStation. So a couple of Uncharted titles, Last of Us as well I completed. So yeah, that's probably that's my answer. How about yourself?
I can't think, to be quite honest. Old games. No, I can't think of any.
No?
No.
Okay, well, another time then. So, Alan Cochrane has come up with one. If you could take one character from a Star Wars saga and place him in the Star Trek universe, who would you select?
Oh, one character from Star Wars. Or from Star Wars into Star Trek.
Yeah.
Admiral Akbar. And save him from being killed in The Last Jedi. It's a trap.
I think I'd have Jar Jar Binks. So, when he's spotted...
No, he's already ruined one franchise. We don't want him to ruin two.
No. The idea is that when he goes over there and realises who he is and thinks he's there, and they shoot him on sight and kill him.
The Federation wouldn't kill him, though, would they?
No, but I'm
Give
sure...
him to the Klingons and say that he's a big tribble.
Yeah, something like that. Drop him in on Kronos. He wouldn't last 5 minutes, would he?
No, he definitely wouldn't.
So
no, awful character, awful.
yeah. Maybe there's some others as well that I'm not aware of yet, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway,
mind you, Boba Fett could be quite a nice bounty hunter in the Star Trek universe.
possibly.
That might be quite cool.
I don't know who'd be hunting. Harry Mudd.
Yeah, well, why not? Harry Mudd was hardcore in the New Discovery.
Yeah.
He was good. I like that the episode with the repeating everything, the cause and effect one.
Yeah, another Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Okay, so Andrew Emsley, I've just started playing Fallout 4 again.
Good man.
No comment. 500 hours deep and still loving it. What game do you have that fits you like a comfy old pair of slippers?
I have a few pairs of slippers.
Yeah.
I just bought a new pair of slippers, actually. It's called Persona 5. Bioshock as well comes to mind. As well as obviously Fallout as well, as you know.
Yeah.
Even Skyrim probably, and Elder Scrolls. They all sit comfortably for me. I don't know about yourself.
Just listening to you, it's actually really interesting. Because if we'd have had this question 2 years ago, I know what game you would have said straight off.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not one I think about right now, though.
No.
The original, obviously, the original Destiny, yeah, you could say that, because I did play that for 2,000 hours.
Yeah. I have to admit, I quite fancied loading that up and having a go, to be honest.
Maybe we should.
Original.
I'd have to...
Get Chris involved. Chris, we need you. We
Well,
need a fire team back.
I'll have to re-download it, because I think I deleted it off my hard drive, so what I might do is actually re-download that.
Sorry, when's the meteor hitting the Earth? You've deleted Destiny off your Xbox.
Well, I needed a room. I think I did. Yeah, I'd have to. Yeah, but you know, I got a good run on that anyway. But
yeah, well, you consider it's cost about what, £0.25 for every hour.
Exactly. Yeah. For what about yourself then?
I would say Elite Dangerous, or the original Elite. But to be honest, it would have to be the Acorn Archimedes version of that Elite now, because that was the best version of it.
Yeah.
I am going to say Destiny, actually, because it is just one of those ones where I can just pick up, and it's just a stress relief game. And nowadays, and it's only a cheap indie title, but Skyforce Anniversary. It's just a very straightforward vertical shooter, but I love that game. I can pick it up at any point and, suddenly realise, or the next thing I realise is it's about 3 hours later. But it is one of those games.
Yeah.
Once you start getting in it and you start upgrading your ship, because the game is Groundhog Day. You've got to keep repeating the same levels. But the challenge is killing all of the enemies. The 100%, all of the enemies, collecting all of the stars, collecting all of the humans, and getting through a level without being hit. So you take no damage.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's so much on the screen, you don't think that there's actually a place on the screen where you cannot get hit. And obviously it gets progressively harder until you get to the insane levels, and then after that there's even worse levels. There's the Nightfall levels. But you have to have completed all of the other levels to unlock the Nightfall levels.
Yeah, that's the hardcore, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, I've done that on the original Skyforce Anniversary.
Yeah.
But no, I really love that game. It's the best game I ever got free with Plus. Was Skyforce Anniversary, and that prompted me to get Skyforce Reloaded when it was released. And I have both games on both systems.
Yes. Okay. Enough said.
Mm.
Okay. Moving on. Paul Wilson, does your other half, wife, etc., play video games? If not, what do you think you would have to do to enable her to enjoy a good 8-hour gaming session? Nearly said 18 then, but 8-hour gaming session. I can't think of anything I could get my missus to do that.
The only way that I could get her for her to enjoy an 8-hour gaming session that I'm involved with is for me to give her sleeping pills.
To pin him down and strap him in a chair.
Yeah, no, it'd be, Hypnol, I think.
Hypnol. Oh, there's a Kingsman crossover if I don't see so on.
Yeah, this episode of the Pop Culture Gamers is sponsored by Kingsman, the Secret Service.
Okay, we'll move on then. Actually,
okay.
It's your turn, yeah, go on.
Yeah, Mark Tudor. Sorry, no, we haven't. I missed one, haven't we? Missed Jason out. Sorry, Jason Tullett. Who would win a fight between the hunter from Destiny or the hunter from Monster Hunter?
Well, that's a question for you because I haven't played Monster Hunter, so.
Well, I would say the hunter from Destiny because I am a hunter on Destiny. That's why. and I've got superpowers on Destiny, so I would kick bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to have a look at some video of this to see what it's all about.
I think you'll enjoy it, to be honest.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you said, Mark Tudor. So, what amount of hours per week do you think is healthy amount to play video games? These days, I probably get 6 to 8 hours per week, but would like to do more. Although I do have a big daytime session, I'm feeling a bit guilty that I've wasted my day.
Why feel guilty about something that you enjoy? Is what I would ask. I mean, I know that you've probably got chores that the wife has told you have to do, because let's face it, every man who is happily married knows he's happily married because his wife's told him.
Yeah.
But seriously, if I invest a day in playing a video game, I don't think, I could have done something better with my day. Because that was, I chose to do that. And, I might think, I wish I'd played a better game, but I wouldn't say, I would have wasted my time, because some days you just need a bit of R&R, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
But hours in a week that's healthy. I think that the number of hours in a week that's healthy is where you get the fixer gaming that you want, but it doesn't interrupt to a drastic effect your family life.
Yep, I know exactly what I mean from that.
Yeah.
Where, for me, I think I probably do... Well, mine normally is about 2 hours a night.
Yeah, that's about what mine is.
I mean, could be a bit more during the weekend, depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
There is a baby shower happening next weekend, so I might be able to squeeze a few more hours to myself there. But yeah, so you're looking at sort of 14 hours for me. Something like that.
I would say 14 to 16 for me. It's probably a little bit more on a weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. I could probably do. I mean, if I sit down for a couple of hours in the morning, sometimes Mrs. is busy doing breakfast. I'll probably sit there and grab an hour or so.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Should we go? We got 2 more questions. Should we finish those off?
We got to be quick though, because.
Okay. So sorry, Justin, but you're going to get a quick answer here.
Yeah.
This could be a debate section, but games nowadays are far too big, or there are too many of them. Do you think the idea of less is more would be better for the games industry?
Less is more. Too much is not. It's never is great, but it's got to be quality.
Yeah.
I think that's how I would look at it. And also, it depends as well with these games being, if they end up taking them off the release date and moving it again. I think that comes to play as well, to be honest.
Yeah. I think that what we could do with less in games is collectibles. I think what we could do with less of in games is ridiculously large size maps that have very little in it apart from a couple of places which are very condensed, that you've then got to spend 10 minutes to travel in order to do the next 6 hours of your game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Skyrim and going up to that castle on the top of the mountain and how long that took from where I was. And I was just thinking, oh, for God's sake, I just want to get there so I can get on with the story, and I'm having to walk, you know, and it was just tortuous in the end. I think in the end, I took a shortcut up the side of the hill or the mountain, you know, doing jump to jump because I couldn't find a path to go there.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of cases, you've got, what you do have is sometimes you're overwhelmed anyway. Do you know what I mean? With stuff. But you know, if they can think about giving you less but more quality by taking the game a bit later in the date, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, what you want is when you finish a game, you want it enough so that you're glad that you finished it, but you just wish there was another hour.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's got that thing of, I'm looking forward to the next one. Because let's face it, most big games now have sequels.
So,
yeah.
Last question of the evening, or the day, or the morning, depending when you're listening to this. Neil McBain is asking us, what is the strangest, weirdest thing you've ever ate or drank that is gaming related? And I'll let you answer that one because I can't think of a goddamn thing right now.
Drank that is that's gaming related. I can't think of anything to be honest with you. The nearest I can think of is having Pez dispensers in the shape of Star Wars characters. That's, you know, not that I get the Pez dispenser, but I get the Pez sweets from inside it.
Yeah.
But that's about as close as I can possibly think. I did. There's a chocolatier in Northallerton. Does really, really nice chocolates. Highly recommend it. And what they have is these really nice, like gift chocolate bars that are in the shape of a games controller. I ate one of those.
The only thing I can think of quickly would be an energy drink that would been promoting a game for extra boost for XP or something like that.
Yeah, something that gave you wings.
Exactly. Anyway, something is calling me, so we better call it a day. Yes. And it's called the wife.
Yes.
So, contact. My Twitter handle is @Steve007. The PSN ID is the real Steve007. Xbox is Steve007, and my email is steve007@hotmail.co.uk. Yours, Haydn, is.
Well, if you want to watch my YouTube videos, and don't forget I mentioned about I had the YouTube video of Trials Enter the Blood Dragon, which is on Gold. You can just search for me, Haydn Rhys Jones. Otherwise, on Twitter, it's @HERJUK, PSN, Xbox Live, Steam, etc. It's still HERJUK. And email is herj@gmail.com. No, I didn't know that we have the Facebook group, which you can join. Just look for Pop Culture Gamers. Also, any inquiries to either Steve or myself through our email addresses. And our website is http://popculturegamers.podbean.com.
Also, there's the Facebook group. So, episode 4 is done and dusted. Hope you've enjoyed the show, and hopefully we'll be back in a week's time. As we say, it's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from him.
Good night.
Good night.
You are about to witness history in the making.